Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Let's go racing, boys.
Short track shootout time in
Let's go
Richmond.
racing, boys. Let's go racing, boys.
Winner Richmond.
Let's go racing, boys.
Kyle Busch is on a roll. Carl Edwards has won the most races so far this year. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has yet to pull into victory lane. He's not alone with Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. What the heck is going on? And what will happen tonight? NASCAR on Fox welcoming you to Richmond, Virginia. It's short track racing, soon to be under the lights. Warm day. We might have hot temps tonight. A little breezy, rain in the forecast for later this evening. This is where America gathers every weekend for NASCAR on Fox. Along with Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel. We're trackside, and thanks for being with us. We're glad to have you with us. Tony Stewart called this his favorite racetrack. Why do drivers love Richmond so much?
Well, it's sort of a short track, but the thing that drivers like about this place is you can pass on it.
Okay.
You don't have to run over people to get them out of your way. You got room to pass.
Starting up front, that big a deal. We haven't had a pole sitter win this year, but
huge.
Okay, but all winners have come from inside the top 10.
80% of the wins here have come from a top 10.
All right.
And only 4 times since this track was reconfigured has it been won from the pole.
He's been doing his homework on
I'm so impressed.
I got notes.
All right, hey, how about, so Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., this is the 10th race of the year. They have not won a race yet. Is that more about them or the competition?
I think it's situations that are around. You know, here's Tony talking about going somewhere else. Jeff Gordon's gotten off to the worst start I can remember in years. And Junior, I think that transitioning over to this new team really hadn't just settled in yet.
You know, I couldn't have said that better myself. I mean, I'm really impressed. I was going to say that because the fact Jeff Gordon, I think he's had some bad luck more than anything else. They've run decent at times, but hey, Dale Jr., I think he's been very competitive. He's right there on the edge.
Yeah, those three drivers have combined for 8 wins here at Richmond. We also have had 40 more lead changes than at the same point last year, so competitive racing all the way around. Whether it's tonight on a 3/4-mile track or last week on a super speedway, Kyle Busch has a lot to celebrate. Yesterday was his 23rd birthday. Tonight he tries for his 3rd win of the year and maybe the Sprint Cup points lead.
I tell you, it's still anybody's race. 1 lap to go. Oh, trouble. A big one. Kyle Busch still leading. What a wreck. Checkered flag. Rowdy Busch wins at Talladega.
Oh, man, I don't believe it.
And it is AT car ready to rock and roll tonight. Kyle Busch joining us live from down on the track. First, happy birthday, Kyle. Thanks for being with us. Hey, did you have new car, new team? Great. What were your expectations? Did you think you'd be as far along as you are so far?
Well, we had hoped that we'd be as far along as we were. Steve Addington and myself sat down at the beginning of the year, talked a little bit about what things we could do in order to help the performance of the 18 car, and you know, things that we wanted to try during test sessions, things that we wanted to make sure that we got done with this new car to try to be competitive. And with all the races that Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart ran last year with this car, and they were pretty competitive, and my feeling with the car from last year in Hendrick Motorsports, you know, we brought some good stuff over here to Joe Gibbs Racing, and we've been pretty fast, fortunately.
Hey, Kyle, it's DW. Big fan. Big fan. But
Thanks,
last night you had a little altercation with old Stephen Wallace. I like what you did, buddy. You didn't use your race car. You got out of your race car, you went down and you confronted him. I like that.
Well, I mean, he's a young guy trying to learn this deal, and I was a young guy trying to learn this deal. And, you know, I wanted drivers to come up and talk to me and tell me about things when I did something wrong. And so I went to do the same thing to him, and, you know, he was just being an idiot about some things. So we tried to straighten him up a little bit if we could, but I don't know if you can get through his head a little bit right now.
Well, I'm sure you're going to keep trying. But the thing is right now, 3 series, wins in all 3 series. Thursday night, you come up here to Richmond, you go over to your teammate Denny Hamlin's special race at Southside Speedway, and you win there. Okay, what's your secret?
I don't know, man. It's just you got film there going. I can hear it, but I can't see it. So it was fun, though, man. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time there supporting the Denny Hamlin Foundation and all those guys that do such hard work in order to put on that whole ordeal. But you know, for me, it was great to go out there and help support that. And all the winnings, of course, went to the Denny Hamlin Foundation. And the pole award was $100. I gave that to the Denny Hamlin Foundation. So I walked out of there with just a lot of new friends and some cool respect for that place.
But wait a minute now. you're going to race tonight, and I hear tell you're leaving and going to another race tomorrow night. Do you not ever get enough racing?
I don't get enough rest, that's for one. But, you know, it's what I do, man. It's what I love to do. So tonight, after the race is over tonight, hopefully we can get it in. The weather might be rolling in, but hopefully we can beat it. I'm going to Madison, Wisconsin tomorrow to race in the ASA Midwest Tour race there. So that'll be pretty fun, too, and looking forward to that.
Good luck.
All right, Kyle, thanks for your time. Have a good race. All right, we'll talk to you.
Good luck, buddy.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good night.
Keep your nose clean.
All right.
He's a wheel man.
Kyle Busch, he mentioned the weather. There's a chance for rain, but that's later tonight. Still might affect the halfway point of the race.
Yeah, but it won't rain tonight. Vortex.
We got two weather guys.
I checked with Larry Mack.
Okay, and he'll be joining us here in just a moment. So you heard him talk about idiots, young drivers.
Yeah.
Daryl, he just turned 23. Did he mature just like that overnight? What happened?
He's been with two of the best mentors in this business, Rick Hendrick and now Joe Gibbs, two of the most respected men in the garage area. I think he's learned a lot from those two men. But last night was funny. I got to tell you this. He's 23. The guy he's talking to is 19, and they were calling each other, hey, that boy's got to learn. He's got to learn how to run in a man's world.
I got news for you right now. Running in this series he's in right now, you're going to learn from other people around him, just like Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart. You talk about the owners, but your competitors will make you mature.
Yeah, and I like that he goes for wins. He's not happy just being in the top 5 or finishing second or third. All right, at night, it can be hard to see what's around the turn, so here's a little help.
Look at me, Mama! I'm going fast!
Larry Mack wishes he had this toy when he was the crew chief. No, I mean this toy, all right? He'll join us in a moment. And what do drivers, your favorite drivers, rock out to? We asked him on the hit list. And Randy Moss, why is he so concerned about NASCAR? We'll tell you. And we get on our game face, or should I say our race face. Gas and Go with our experts. We're just getting cranked up from Richmond on Fox.
Come on, bring her home, Junebug. Gonna stay up late tonight.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Wins this bud for you, baby.
It's been 71 races, 2 years since Dale Earnhardt Jr. last won. Of course, it was in Richmond. We are counting the hours, the days, the minutes, the seconds, so time is ticking. He has 7 top 10 finishes this year, more than any other driver. But here's what has happened since Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s won a race. Look at all the victories for Tiger Woods. Of course, Jimmy Johnson has won a couple of championships. And the price of oil and gas, that just keeps skyrocketing. Hopefully somebody will do something about that. So let me ask you, 300 career starts, right? You had 55 wins. He has 17. Let's talk about assessing his career to this point.
High expectations. I mean, his name is Earnhardt. And when you're an Earnhardt, you're expected to win, and you expect to win races, you're expected to win championships. Then you go to a team with high expectations that won half the races last year. How many have they won this year so far? 1.
All right.
So he's got his work cut out for him. I said he'd win 6 races, and I still believe he will, but it'll all be in the second half.
You've been in that situation before. I remember something about a dream team one time.
Yes.
You got one win that year, but you finally turn it around later on, so it takes time.
Junior has led the most laps of any driver who hasn't yet won a race, so he's done everything but win. But is he one of the top, fans ask all the time, is one of the top 5 drivers in the sport right now?
I get tired of him being criticized about not being a good race car driver. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a very talented race car driver, and when you kind of rank him the way I'm looking at it, I think he winds up about 5th to 7th right in that area. I think there's some guys a little bit better, but he can get the job done on any racetrack.
He's one of the best, and he's one of the richest.
Yeah, the most popular.
Exactly.
And, he'll bring the cash. He'll bring the sponsors and eventually the wins. All right, the 60th year of NASCAR, the great American racing sport, and no sport is more loyal to its roots and its fans. But even here, given today's competitive climate, technology never stands still. Larry McReynolds has the latest tool that's gathering information for the cars that we watch on the track.
You know, for a while now on our broadcast of NASCAR on Fox, you've been hearing us talk about the 7-post rig machines. Well, you know what? The good people here at Haas CNC Racing, they're giving us a free pass to see what it's all about. Come on, follow me. This was my computer, my stopwatch. It was a lot better than whatever feedback I was getting from my driver. Do you have one of these, by the way?
Larry, we traded it in for a calculator.
I was going to say, that's way too fancy. But now, Neil, simplest question first. Why do we call it a 7-poster?
It's called a 7-post because you have 4 wheel actuators that are up under each tire. Then you have 3 aero actuators located, 2 in the back and then 1 in the front.
Now, I know this will be hard for DW to understand. 4 and 3 equals 7. So I got it. Okay.
That's correct.
What track are we simulating?
We're actually going through simulations of Richmond. We're just trying to find some advantages.
Now, how many different things are you monitoring as it goes through a run here on the 7-poster?
We usually monitor about 50 items, and they get transferred in our computer. We sit there and analyze them.
I don't have anything to start with. What's it going to cost me to put a 7-poster in?
Well, about $1.5 to $2 million.
$1.5 million?
Oh.
Booty! What are you doing?
You got no business being here.
This guy's giving me information overload. He's giving me a bigger headache than Chris Myers. All right, it's just a tool. You get good, solid information that you can relate to the racetrack.
You get a good information, Larry, but you can make a tire stick to the ground real well, or you can make all the downforce in the world as far as the platform on this. But you have to use your own judgment as far as what to take and what not to take.
Time now to check in our AutoZone pit zone. Larry McReynolds has joined Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond just below the Hollywood Hotel at our cutaway car. Jeff?
Well, the thing is right now, Chris, I'm going to turn around and look at this driver and say, okay, what did you learn from our piece?
Well, you know, all of my experience has been when I drive a race car, it's trial and error.
Yep.
Try this, try that, and see if something sticks. But with this new machine, Larry, I mean, it's a whole new world. It helps verify so many things, and every team seems to have one.
Well, it is, and it's just a tool. Booty Barker told me it's no different than the wind tunnel, than the chassis dyno. It's just to gather more information. And best I could tell, talking throughout the garage area, about half the field has access to a 7-post shaker. But the biggest thing, even though they've been using this for several years, this new car put them back to ground zero. Now they're trying to build that notebook back up that they had built up with the old car. But the one variable, every time Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company changes this tire, it changes the information that they have to gather.
Well, the thing is, too, you got to think about it like this. The half that's using it is probably the half that's winning. And the other thing about it, Larry, look at it like this. We used to do it with a notebook. Well, nowadays, it's all done with the computer.
How you know it's right?
That's up to you.
It's up to you, baby.
Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart,
Denny Hamlin.
All right, here's the latest in the Sprint Cup point standings here. The 10th race. Remember, after this, 16 before the chase. Jeff Burton holding off Kyle Busch. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in pursuit. Juan Pablo Montoya, 12th, best in his NASCAR career. Only the top 12 make the chase. That right now would leave Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth, and some other big-name drivers on the outside looking in, including Jeff Gordon. So what wows you most about the chase so far?
Well, of course, everybody says Jeff Gordon, and certainly Matt Kenseth. Jeff Gordon's right there. What, he's 14, 15 points out. Kenseth is known to come on strong. He made this chase in 05 by getting in the last race here on the 26th race. So I don't count anybody out. If I'm at the bottom of that list, the top 12, I'd be looking behind me.
You got that right. I mean, when you think about who's on the outside right now, these teams are going to start ramping up. They're going to figure out a way to fix their problems. That's what makes them championship contenders. And the guys that are already in there, just like Juan Pablo Montoya, they know they've already made some changes within that Ganassi organization to try to make them better when they made the crew chief swap. So everybody's looking to get stronger, and there's going to be a huge dogfight for that number 12 spot.
And you know Jeff Gordon. You can't keep Jeff Gordon down. He's going through a string of bad luck right now, wrecks and other things. Tonight, he's going to the rear of the field tonight, and that's his worst starting position. I can't remember when here at Richmond. There he is talking to car owner Rick Hendrick, and I'm sure they're talking about tonight. And I'm sure Michael's telling him how he pushed the 48 right to the front last week.
But the other thing you bring that up, Robbie Reiser now is starting to help the 17 now that Bob Osborne's back working for the number 99. So you're going to see some of these teams that are kind of like in that, up in the quicksand right now. They're going to start pulling themselves out of that.
But they have time to turn it around, to see the familiar faces where we want them. Just in case you were wondering about record-setting receiver Randy Moss, what he's been doing since the Super Bowl, how about this? He's created Moss Motorsports. He hopes to begin involvement in a Craftsman Truck Series. His quote was, "I think it's a good fit. There are a lot of NASCAR fans in the locker room." And here's proof. Guys like Dan Marino owning a team with Bill Elliott, Brett Favre with Dale Jarrett in the Nationwide Series. Fox's own Terry Bradshaw spent some time, had him pulling his hair out at times. Troy Aikman, remember teaming with Roger Staubach, Hall of Fame racing. Joe Gibbs, 3 Super Bowl titles, 3 NASCAR Cup championships. And now Randy Moss tries his hand in racing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So what's easier, beating the Giants in the Super Bowl or winning a race?
Probably winning the Super Bowl, because in my opinion, it's so difficult in our profession to be able to make things happen. It doesn't quite work as easy as they might think, Darrell.
It's quite obvious looking at that list, players do not make good car owners. Coaches make good car owners, and Joe Gibbs a good example. But I think those guys think this is a golden opportunity. They see gold and they see opportunity, and that's why they want to be here.
What do you always say about if you want to make a small fortune in NASCAR?
Start with a big one.
Yeah.
So if you got a lot of money, come on over. We'll take it.
Give me quick numbers here. What does it take to the car costs about $600,000, right? Cup car?
No, we're talking, Sprint Cup car, $600,000.
To run a race team for a year in Cup, what is it?
We're talking about probably $19 to $20 million. It's just a lot of money, guys, and you still have to worry about if you're used to winning. It's not that easy to come over here just because your name's Randy Moss and win.
You could ask Daryl, Jeff, Larry Mack, our crew, with our Ask the Pros built by the Home Depot at FoxSports.com, plus Tony Stewart and his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli. Ask him anything you want. NASCAR questions about broadcasting, about what they do in their off time. Well, with Jeff, that might be too much to do. Anyway, go to FoxSports.com/AskThePros, and we thank the people at Home Depot for helping us out with that.
Don't be hard on my man. I mean, he's been working hard out there at the car lot.
We welcome those of you watching in Arizona and New York. Hope you enjoyed the Diamondbacks and the Mets. Saturday afternoon baseball leading us into NASCAR on Fox Under the Lights. Next week in Darlington as well. Here we're counting it down to Richmond. The start, 400 laps, 300 miles. Tony Stewart hasn't won this year, but he loves this track. Mark Martin starting up on the front row. Kevin Harvick, some consistency. Jimmy Johnson, there's the man of the moment. The cheers for Denny Hamlin. It's a home game for him from Virginia. 112,000 plus here in Richmond. 33rd straight sellout for this track. Welcome back to NASCAR on Fox, and thanks for being with us. Virginia for lovers and for racers. There are 3 drivers in tonight's race from the state, including the points leader, the pole sitter, Elliott Sadler, who starts from row 4. Jeff Burton has led more laps in Richmond than at any other track. Denny Hamlin, who grew up about 15-20 miles from here, had a busy Friday in Richmond. In the afternoon, he captured the pole, and then later, he won the nationwide race. Our Matt Yoakum is with Denny Hamlin.
Chris, every driver has the ultimate place or race to win. Last night, Denny Hamlin scored the Nationwide Series victory, and if that was Indy, tonight's race, would this be the Daytona 500 for you?
This is it. This is as big as it gets for this whole FedEx Express team, and just excited to get going. Starting to get some stomach pains here. I hope it's not butterflies.
All right, well, he won last night. He's hoping for his second sweep of 2008. He pulled off the Truck Cup weekend at Martinsville. Dick Berger, and he's hoping for some big success here tonight.
Indeed, and so is the current point leader, Jeff Burton, who came from South Boston, Virginia, and who has won at both of the Virginia racetracks. Bigger to win at home?
I think it is. I mean, it means a lot. I mean, it's you're racing in front of the people that watch you grow up as a race car driver, but more importantly, as a person. You know, a lot of these people watch Ward and I and my brother Brian grow up, and you know, we did a lot of stupid things. So I'm sure that they look at us and wonder how in the world did they get there. But it does mean a lot.
Best of luck tonight. Chris Myers.
All right, thank you, Dick, our senior reporter. Virginia, one of the original 13 colonies. Dick Bergen, one of the original 13 people on the planet. Oh, we kid. You know why we kid? All right. Oh, I didn't know he was still listening. I'm sorry.
Didn't know anybody knew that.
All right. Hey, Daryl, how about consistency for Jeff Burton? He's the only driver to at least lead and finish every lap so far this season.
Here's what worries me about Jeff Burton.
Right.
He's got to qualify better. You cannot start in the back every week and expect to dodge those bullets and get to the front and keep that point lead. Got to get the qualifying act together.
Well, if he doesn't look out right now, the guy that's on the pole tonight, the way he's been charging it through the points, remember he had problems early part of the season, 32nd in points, now all the way up to 4th, and he is definitely, I think, on a tear.
Denny Hamlin has gone from 32nd in points all the way up to 4th, so he is rapidly rising upward. Time for NASCAR news and notes, and reports were circulating around the garage this afternoon that Bobby Labonte had agreed on a contract extension with Richard Petty Enterprises, but Jeff Hamlin spoke with the former Cup champ who told him it's not the truth until you hear it from me. Meanwhile, Greg Biffle recently seen chatting with the folks over at Richard Childress Racing. RCR going to have that 4th team, but we've learned that the driver of the 16 car says he's 99% sure he will re-sign with Roush Fenway Ford. Biffle's been in the top 10 in points all season long, and Roush Fenway did lock up Carl Edwards to a 3-year contract extension beyond this year, starting at about $6 million a year. And smiles all around because Edwards has crew chief Bob Osborne back tonight after his 6-race suspension. Kevin Harvick, Inc. has aggressively implemented his own random drug testing program for his company. This follows the Aaron Fike admission in the Truck Series. NASCAR setting up a committee to study the sports policy as well. And Eddie Gossage at Texas Motor Speedway offered Junior $100,000 to drive at his IndyCar race in June. Earnhardt considered it and then said, quote, he thinks I'm a cheap date, I guess. Okay. And due to the high prices at the pump, Gas and Go is now ethanol and go. We're just moving along. I have the question.
For 50,000?
All right, remember.
I would drive it for $50 million.
Oh, okay.
You're on the clock, and no one knows the contents, not even Paula Abdul, of these questions. Daryl, for you, you'll get that on the way home. a lot of drivers call Richmond their favorite track. So what is there to like so much about this place? And the motto is racing perfection. What do they mean?
Well, it's the right size. It's fast. It's a 3/4 mile track. Got a lot of good speed, so you get the sensation of I'm going fast, but you got a lot of places you can pass. Good places to pass, set up passes.
Do crew chiefs love this track?
Really do, because again, they can work on the car, they can get on the driver and get him up on the wheel and make a big difference.
All right, Jeff, for you, now that the car of tomorrow is safer, it's the car of now, will drivers take more risks? We saw that Michael McDowell thing, and he walked away.
Oh, these drivers, once they start figuring this race car out and they understand they can beat and bang and not knock themselves out of the race, you better watch out. They got bad habits.
Got to be careful. I tell you, I keep saying this over and over again. We're getting too comfortable with this safety thing and where we are with these cars. Better watch out.
All right, Daryl, what's happened to the pole sitter? All 9 races won by drivers that were not on the pole. Is there a different philosophy, mindset there? Is it the new car?
It should be an advantage. You get that #1 pit spot down there. It should pay off, but only 4 times has it paid off on this new configuration. So I believe this cat there will get it done tonight, though. He's the man.
Yeah, things will definitely be changing tonight. He is going to be up on the wheel. Forget the points. It's all about pride.
All right, Jeff, they said that Juan Pablo Montoya gained a lot of respect among the drivers last week, including Kyle Busch. What about that street cred for him?
The what?
Well, they call it street cred. You know, in other words, you're gaining respect, that type of thing. Did he get it or not? Because
I think he did. Again, he did a really good job. He's been racing better this year. A lot of people maybe haven't really noticed this, but I think he's more comfortable. But last week, he really showed me something running a racetrack that he really shouldn't be that good at.
Yeah, what I like about him is what you see is what you get.
All right, Daryl, who should Jack Roush consider to be his #1 driver?
The guy he just signed.
Carl Edwards.
Carl Edwards. Carl is the guy. I say it over and over again. He's the guy I would go. He's my go-to guy. I love Matt. I love all those guys, but Carl is the man.
All right, Kenseth has the championship, though, right? All right, Jeff. Carl Edwards gets his new crew chief, actually his old crew chief back, Bob Osborne, after the suspension. What difference does that make, especially for this race?
He got his blankie back. You might say that right there. He got his comfort guy, because this man, when they put them together originally, they were very good. They made it up, you might say, matched up really well. And I think that's the key thing, is that he has a guy now that he can have all the confidence in to get the rest of this year done.
Carl did win at Texas without him.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
All right, Daryl, the success of Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, does it put any more pressure on Tony Stewart to win a race as part of that team?
Well, I wonder if that would have anything to do with him wanting to leave. I'm not sure about that. He says it's the best it's ever been at Joe Gibbs Racing, but he's 30-something, and these other boys are 20-something, and he's looking to his future, not theirs.
All right, we're up against the clock. Yes or no, Jeff? Will Martin Truex end up with another team beyond DEI? They said they picked up the option.
I think he'll be somewhere else. I don't think he's going to stay at DEI.
I don't think they picked up the option. He didn't.
Daryl studies AT&T. He studies DEI all the time. If you want to play AT&T's Fantasy Racing Challenge, text in the car number you think is going to win at 2258. Play all season long. You can win $31,000 or other great prizes. Next time I'll give you more time for DEI. He wants to talk about that. Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. All right, tell us. We're going to see those brake rotors get red hot, but what about the tempers?
Oh, well, this is one of those places where you hit me once, I'm going to hit you twice. That's kind of how it goes here, and it's easy to do. You get down in that turn 1, get nerfed a little bit, you get mad, and you retaliate. Retaliating here is not a good thing.
This ain't Talladega, but a lot of guys got a little bit upset at Talladega. Payback time.
All right, Daryl heading up to the booth to join Larry and Mike for the play-by-play broadcast. Jeff and I will watch here from the Hollywood Hotel, and we'll count you down to the start of the race. The faces of the competitors are ready to roll here in Richmond. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, we're glad you're tuning in to NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the people who make one-touch products. More power to you. By TGI Fridays Restaurants, right portion, right price menu. Give me more Fridays. by Goodyear, innovative technology to help you get there, and by Scott's Turf Builder Water Smart Formula. Build a healthier lawn using less water. Richmond, known for its many statues and monuments, the great discoverer Christopher Columbus never looked better. If you want a Digger t-shirt, go to dwstore.com or foxsports.com. Over 60,000 so far have been ordered, and Digger plush toys are on the way. The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria, who knew Digger was aboard.
Did he discover Digger?
Let's check in with our crew of pit reporters and Steve Burns.
Well, thank you, Chris. Carl Edwards has never won on the Sprint Cup Series here at Richmond, but a lot of reasons to be happy about this race. As you said, he's got a brand new contract with Roush Fenway, and his crew chief, Bob Osborne, is back after a 6-week suspension.
Invocation. Let us pray. Eternal Father, we thank you tonight. We thank you for America. Lord, we ask you to bless this sport we love so much we call NASCAR. Lord, we ask you to protect each and every driver. Thank you for our fans. And Lord, let us never forget the men and women who are serving in our war in Iraq. We ask you to bless them and their family. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and in the Holy Ghost, amen.
And now, please welcome the Commandant's own Marine Drum and Bugle Corps as they perform our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Commandant's own Marine Drum and Bugle Corps and the United States Navy Blue Angels.
And our thoughts with those friends and family. Southeast Virginia hit by tornado damage earlier this week, as the fans here happy to be safe and getting ready to go racing. Some of the drivers on Saturday night, we talked to them about what they like listening to and talking rock band on the hit list. That's what we asked drivers to name their favorite rock band. Anybody who said Milli Vanilli or Tony Orlando and Dawn, they were banned. What's the greatest rock band of all time?
My favorite is probably the first band I saw live, Aerosmith. And I was just a kid with some of my buddies. We drove down to the concert, and they've just, over the decades, keep producing songs and songs after song.
My opinion is Metallica.
Right, and a song that you listen to more than
the song Nothing Else Matters. Seems to be a motto for our race team, and a song that we've used quite a bit.
I don't know, I got to see Tom Petty at the Super Bowl.
No, it's good.
He did pretty well.
Legendary.
Rush is pretty amazing. The Eagles are unreal.
Probably Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay.
I like Axl Rose. Love those dreads. He always rock.
You ever seen him live or had a chance?
I never saw him live. That was kind of before my time.
Oh, Led Zeppelin by far. No matter what mood you're in that day, there's always a song that you like from their collection.
The Stones.
Have you ever seen the Stones?
I haven't. I would like to. Before they get too old,
right.
I would certainly like to.
They're already like Stone Age close. Yeah, we have a great band of pit reporters. Steve Burns, thanks for helping us out again. What's going on?
Well, Chris, we talked about Carl Edwards. Now, the record book shows that he finished 42nd here in September. Forget about that. He had a great race car. He was leading before the engine gave up. And he said, I was passing Jeff Gordon on 7 cylinders. And Chris, as you said, he's got a brand new multi-year contract with Roush Fenway Racing, and his crew chief, Bob Osborne, back after a 6-week suspension. Chris Devoda.
Juan Pablo Montoya had been swimming in top 15s, top 20s till he finished second last week at Talladega. So keep your eye on the guy named to People in Español's list of the 50 most beautiful people. How big is that for NASCAR? Well, just moments ago, I talked to 2 fans here to watch Montoya all the way from South America. To Matt Yocum.
Krista, just a little bit of fuel only kept Mark Martin from becoming the 5th different driver to go to victory lane driving a Dale Earnhardt Incorporated Chevrolet. That was back at Phoenix. Well, guess what? We've got the Phoenix car, the Phoenix tire, and it's shaping up to be another Mark Martin kind of weekend. He starts on the outside of the front row, and during final practice, his car was so good, he said, if there's anything else you want to try, let's go ahead and try it, because I don't know how to work on this car. It is so great. Keep an eye on the 8 tonight. To Dick Berggren.
Last week at Talladega, Jeff Gordon complained that his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. wasn't driving like a teammate. Since then, they've sat down, talked, and all is well between them. However, all is not well with Gordon tonight. He qualified poorly. When they went to fire the engine this afternoon, the engine balked. It's an impound race. They had to work on it. Gordon will start dead last tonight. He has led more laps here at Richmond than any other driver in tonight's event. He is going to have to pass every car in the field to lead just 1 lap. Chris?
Thanks, Dick Berggren, for the update. The editor of Speedway Illustrated. Certainly a tough hole for Jeff Gordon to climb out of. Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, trying to make Virginia proud one more time. Jeff Hammond, how about when the light shines the brightest on this stage at night? Much of a difference for the driver?
Absolutely. I mean, again, you know, everything kind of changes, and especially I think for me as a race fan and somebody who works on these race cars, it's the best time. But the guys who do the best and the guy who does the best, you have to take a look right there. Jimmy Johnson, he won at Phoenix. He has dominated night racing as far as what I've been able to see since 2003. He's the guy that if you had to bet on, when the lights are on, he's the guy that you're going to beat.
Now, the sun will set shortly here in about 20 minutes. Last-minute preparations here. You go from the longest track at Talladega, 2.66 miles, to a 3/4 mile track. Much of a major adjustment mentally for the guys behind the wheel?
Yeah, it is, because, again, you have to get up on the wheel and drive this car. You have to be able to work the brakes, work the throttle, not upset it. A driver, Jeff Gordon made the comment that he can run at night because he overuses the brakes. I mean, you're going to see these rotors glowing at over 1,000 degrees, but these guys have got to be finesseful here, and they can make a big difference in how their car works. But the crew chiefs, like Jeff Gordon tonight, Steve Letarte starting way back in the back, have got to have some strategy in play to get him track position.
So some of the headliners in NASCAR: Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. Of course, Tony usually gets going a little bit later, but they have yet to win a race. Could tonight be the night? Let's head down trackside for those familiar words.
Race fans, please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Crown Royal Contest winner Dan Lowry, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
We're getting ready for the start of tonight's race from Richmond, Virginia. We're glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox. Before we start racing here in Virginia, NASCAR on Fox, we want to congratulate our crew and thank you to the viewing audience. We picked up a couple of Emmys, our technical team, the guys who do all the work on the production, and for Outstanding Live Sports Series, NASCAR on Fox won the Emmy. And there's enough to go around because it's a team effort. And let's join Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip, Mike Joy up in the booth. They have an Emmy too.
Outstanding Sports Series is the biggest award in sports television. Not the first time NASCAR on Fox has won it. We're very proud of that, but this is the one for Technical Team Remote. NASCAR on Fox and ABC ESPN share this award, and to all of the folks who make this such a great telecast and the cooperation we get from the teams, we're very, very proud and very grateful. Tonight, It is Short Track Saturday night. I can't believe it's been a year since we've done a short track race on Fox in the nighttime. That's the right time. This is going to be fun.
Well, I like that Neil Diamond song. Thank the Lord for the nighttime. Forget the day. It's a lot more exciting at night. The lights make the cars just pop off the screen at home. Folks, you're going to have a great time. Watching the brake rotors, you see the flames out the exhaust pipe, things you don't see in the daytime.
And the thing about it, yeah, it's been a year since we did a night race on Fox on a short track, but it'll be about 4 months before these guys get another chance to do a short track race. And, you know, when you think about Saturday night short track racing, it's where we all got our start, was on a short track on a Friday or Saturday night. And the thing about it, this is a 400-lap race, and you're going to have guys like Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Montoya. They're going to be up on that wheel with both hands and feet from the drop of the green flag, so you better not fool around when they drop it.
Last night's finish was a great one. Tonight, we expect no less. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race, led by the hometown hero, Denny Hamlin. He won last night. He won the pole for this race. He had a great charity race night on Thursday, and high expectations for Hamlin this evening.
Great.
Darrell, how about the driver who qualified fourth? What a great surprise there with Patrick Carpentier.
Yeah, let's see if we can get old Pat on the phone here. Hey, Pat Carpentier, this is Darrell Waltrip up in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Loud and clear.
Hey, man, best qualifying effort yet, and you're right up there amongst the hot dogs. What are you going to do tonight?
That's a question I was going to ask you. How do you start this thing once you're up front?
I guess the best thing you can do is knock those fenders off and make you a little more comfortable, wouldn't it?
No, hey, I love the view. I mean, it's the team did a great job. I want to thank LifeLock, and hopefully we got a good. We're not too far off in qualifying trim, so hopefully I can stick with these guys. The hard part for me is going to be to stay with them and hopefully be there at the end.
Buddy, I hope you can stay up there all night. Great qualifying run. Good luck. You really are doing a great job.
I really appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the show.
Make it a great race day with a perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Just turn left and enjoy Budweiser, the great American lager. 400 laps, Larry. What are the keys to tonight's race?
Well, there's a lot of keys, but one, you know what? We hear about aero. It's not about aero here. It's all about handling for 400 laps, especially on these long sweeping corners, picking that throttle up and being able to stay in it on the straightaways. Watching the Nationwide Series race last night, you better get fresh tires every chance you get to come to pit road and get 4 of those Goodyear tires. And you know what? It's a short track. Check your emotions. You know, DW told me yesterday, you might treat it like a short track, but you better respect it like a speedway.
That's right. You go fast here. You said you wanted to go fast. You go fast here.
1 to go at the line. Another sellout at Richmond International Raceway. 16 straight years, 112,000 fans are here to see short track Saturday night. It's a 3/4 mile racetrack, 40 on pit road, and the pit window 90 to 100 laps.
For Sunoco Race Fuel and to the rear, Dick Bergman was talking about it. Jeff Gordon, when he went, this was an impound race. They couldn't work on these cars after qualifying. When he went to crank it in the garage area, it wouldn't crank. They had to change the starter to the rear of the field.
And he's got to be careful, Mike. He could go a lap down very easily here early in this run.
They talk about a little short track in Vermont, Thunder Road, being the nation's site of excitement. Tonight, the nation's site of excitement is right here.
It really is, and we got old Digger. He's buried down there. He's waiting to see who's going to run over him first.
He'll get plenty of action.
He's going to be taking names tonight.
They start with their tempers and fenders intact. Last night in the nationwide race, battle for third place, changed hands twice in the last lap. Nobody's tempers stayed intact. Nobody's bumpers did either. But here we go.
It's Saturday night, and Saturday night's all right for fighting. Reach up there, pull those belts tight. One more time. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. we see the sparks already flying. That means this track has a lot of grip. They're faster than they've been all weekend long.
Well, and you're on real low air pressure. I mean, you're probably down to 20-odd pounds in the right and in the teens in the lefts to start this race. Tire buildup is a big issue here.
Pole sitter and hometown hero Denny Hamlin led the first lap. Here's the battle for 5th. Kyle Busch alongside Carpentier's number 10.
And let me define that tire pressure buildup.
Yeah. See all the Gillette Evernham cars there who had a great qualifying run. We talked to Patrick Compartier in the 10. You see Elliott Sadler in the 19 and Casey Kane in the 9, all right there together.
Kane looking out at Elliott Sadler to his right with Montoya. Kane got his first ever Cup win here from the pole.
Yeah, that was an exciting race for Casey. Remember, he held off Tony Stewart, his hero, to get that win.
Led over half the race. See how much brake you use getting off into these corners. Pablo Montoya, we're looking at him in the 42 car, got together with Patrick Compartier off the turn 4 last time.
Oh, there, that's casual contact.
Just a little rub.
It's easy to call it casual when you're standing up here.
I agree.
You ought to be riding in that 10 car.
Here's another look at it on the right.
He's coming off turn 4. Montoya's car just went up the racetrack just a little bit, though. No harm, no foul.
Well, I'd be concerned about that left rear tire on Pat's car, because I'll tell you, that splitter gets in there, it can work on that left rear tire.
Yes, it can. Tell you what, that we see that 48 car right there, a little bump and run knocked him out of the way, but that 48 car, I watched him yesterday, Jimmy Johnson. I think that's the car you're going to have to beat. Like Jeff Hammond said, he's always right when it's nighttime.
I don't know if Patrick knows it or not, but he's going to lose his fenders if he's not careful.
You didn't give him good advice,
did all over the place.
You didn't tell him about that part.
Now Carpentier gets down to the inside in front of David Rudiman.
Yeah, finally he gets down on the bottom. That's what he was trying to do, but nobody would let him.
Kind of reminds me the first time that Juan Pablo Montoya ran a short track. They kept telling him, take care of the car. He said, how do you take care of it when everybody's beating on it?
That's right. I'm doing my part.
Stewart looking for and getting a little room on the outside of Rudiman. This is for 13th place.
Now, one thing we want to keep an eye on, and we don't want to harp on it all night long, but brakes here they can have a problem with brakes if you overuse them.
Carpentier holding his own with Stewart.
The reason I mention that is I see these guys really pounding these things off in the corner, using a lot of brake.
Steve Burns.
Well, Mike, I talked to one of Darrell Waltrip's favorite people in the garage area, Dr. Who, Ronnie Crooks.
All right.
Yeah, man, the shock specialist on the 20 car for Tony Stewart, and he said, we may not be good early, but we've made some changes to this race car that will help us later on. We've just been looking for a little bit more grip for Tony.
Well, and as I mentioned, this was an impound race. They got 1 2-hour practice in the middle of the day yesterday when the track didn't have a lot of grip. It's cooled down now and has a ton of grip, so you had to kind of figure that into what you put into the car to go qualify.
And good teams and good drivers, they can anticipate. That's a word that I love in racing. The crew chief, the shop guy, the driver, they all anticipate, what's my car going to do at 20, 30, 40, 70 laps into a run.
A lot of action right there. Michael Waltrip's 55 was racing with point leader Jeff Burton, the 31, and Paul Menard and Clint Boyer, and Michael got up and into the wall a little bit.
Yeah, I think he got a little smoke coming off that right side now. Let's see how hard he gets into it. Oh, yo. Yeah, he tried to climb
up the wall.
Maybe went up the hill. He wasn't trying to fetch a pail of water either.
Denny Hamlin is trying to check out from this field, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. Martin Truex in the 1 slipped into 2nd right in front of his teammate Mark Martin. Then it's Reed Sorensen. Kyle Busch has worked his way up to 5th.
Now, we documented as we took the green flag, Jeff Gordon had to start this race at the rear of the field, and I've been watching him. He's in a box back there. Right now, he's only moved up 3 positions. He's moved up to 40th, but the big problem is the leader is only about 6 to 8 seconds behind him. That's the problem on a short track.
Even on a good day, Larry, that 24 car struggles in traffic. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and he's in very heavy traffic.
Jeff Gordon is going to need frequent caution flags to keep in touch with the lead pack, because here they come. 15 laps complete. Denny Hamlin from Chesterfield, Virginia, has led them all. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
I got a special delivery today. I'm up in front, and that's where I'm staying.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. By Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history. That's an American revolution. And by Sprint. Welcome to the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful.
21 laps complete, only one change in the top 5 as you look to the west in a beautiful sunset from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear for track tested technology. Get there on Goodyear innovation. Casey Kane has moved past Kyle Busch and into the 5th position.
Ooh, red sky at night. Did you see that?
Yeah, racer's delight.
That's it.
Casey Kane in the 9 car, as you mentioned, he just took over that 5th position.
And here's Carl Edwards racing for 15th against Patrick Carpentier.
And again, as documented in the pre-race show, we've been talking about a lot of the free agents that we have this year as the season comes to an end. Carl Edwards, one of those, but he just re-signed a 3-year contract extension with Roush Fenway.
I just had a feeling that Carl would do that. You know, he likes Jack. He likes being there. He loves Bob Osborne. It's a perfect place for him to be, really.
And when you're the #1 rooster in the hen house,
yeah, that doesn't hurt anything either.
It's a good place to be. You notice a change in our Fox ticker across the top of the screen tonight. We have transitioned after some experimentation to using the GPS transponders in the cars to give you real-time scoring, position, and intervals. So you'll see a lot of changes just like that as Brian Vickers passes Sam Hornish for 34th. The scoring is real-time, but we stress it is unofficial.
The other thing that happened while we were away, Mark Martin got by his teammate Martin Truex Jr. That let Mark in that 8 car take over the 2nd position. Right now about 2 seconds behind Denny Hamlin. Matt, a lot like yesterday's practice, that 8 car looks pretty good on the long run.
Larry Mack, the key for Mark Martin, he told me, is to keep that car on the bottom. Next time he rolls past our digger cam, take a look, because if he's down on that line, that's where he says his car is the strongest. He just needs to roll a little better through the center of the corner, but so far, and it shows in the stopwatch, that 8 car looks strong early on.
Thanks, Matt. Reed Sorensen in the 41, the target car, started 4th and has run there since the drop of the green flag. He's under pressure now from Casey.
Got a little company from another red car that's trying to work the outside here. That outside line has really come in a hurry.
Good job.
Watch how high he goes here around to get around the 41 car. Casey Kane in the Bud car just gets around on the outside, and away he goes.
But I tell you what, right now we have 2 Ganassi with Sabatos cars up in the top 8. We have Reed Sorensen in the 41, Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 that right now is battling Elliott Sadler for 9th. I know it's early in the race, but remember, back before Talladega, after Phoenix, Chip Ganassi, Felix Sabatos, they looked at their 41 and their 42 car. They felt like that maybe they didn't have the chemistry like they needed. They swapped the crew chiefs. Montoya gets 2nd at Talladega last week, and look where these cars are running here.
Chris Devoda is in Montoya's pit.
That's right, Mike. Right now, Juan not saying a lot about his car. He was a little bit tight early on, but his crew chief, new crew chief, remember Jimmy Ellich switching over to this team starting last week in Talladega, said, Juan, you're doing great, good lap, good on exit.
I like what they did. I believe the personalities of Jimmy Elledge and Juan will work good, and I believe Donnie Wingo and Sorensen will work good. I really like what they did.
As much as we say about this being increasingly a technology-driven business, chemistry between people is still so important, thank goodness.
In the pressure to perform, there's no growing time. It's either there or you have to make a change. And we're seeing our leader now, Denny Hamlin, after 32 laps, he's already in traffic. Now he has lapped Robbie Gordon, Joe Nemechek, working on J.J. Yaley in that 96 car.
You know what would make Denny Hamlin really, really happy, besides winning tonight, is really win big. And he's trying to do it. I mean, I think he would like to lap the field if he could.
He won big last night on the final caution. Leaders Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards did not take tires. Hamlin did and stormed past the two of them to win it.
And the thing about it, Mike, and we've talked to Denny a lot, 4 to 5 years ago, he and his family had seats in the grandstands over in turn 4. He was a huge Bill Elliott fan. Everything he drove, he wanted to put Bill Elliott's number on it, and here he is leading this race, set on the pole, and won the nationwide race here last night.
5 years ago, they had inexpensive bleacher seats. Last night, he bought a suite for his folks to watch him win.
My, it is a beautiful world.
"40 laps complete in Richmond, and the Crown Royal presents the Dan Lowry 400. Lowry was a contest winner and got to have the race named for him. But right now, the man whose name may be getting ready already to be engraved on the winner's trophy is Denny Hamlin. He's about to come up and lap Jeff Gordon. That's one of the hazards of starting in the back. We have 2 different sound bites edited together of Gordon talking about the handling of his car.
When I go to the throttle tight and it snaps loose, he can get it to turn getting in. It's when I go to the throttle.
And what I hear in a driver's voice, he's a man that's out of breath, which tells me when you're uncomfortable in your race car and you're just kind of hanging on to it, you really do just kind of get short-winded almost because you're tense, very tense.
And the reason he's tense is look at that FedEx in his rearview mirror he's looking at. But I think, Darrell, you got to fix first things first. Get that thing to turn through the middle. There's his crew chief, Steve Letarte. And you may actually calm that looseness down off the corner if you make it turn better.
He's tense, and that guy behind him is 11th, and he's coming after him.
Jeff Gordon has not been happy with his car all weekend. Did not practice well, qualified poorly.
I talked to Steve Letarte today, and my timing was terrible. I was sitting there talking to him about his car, and he said this new generation of Goodyear tire has thrown us such a curve. While I was talking to him, they tapped him on the shoulder.
Boy, he tried to cut underneath the 70, and Jeff Gordon got into the leader.
Trying to stay desperate, trying to stay on that lead lap.
Well, yeah, but Hamlin was kind of boxed behind the 70, and he really cut Jeff off there. I think he figured Jeff's going to lap down and give me some room, but Jeff said, no, I have no part of that.
Let's take another look at this as he was trying to stay on the lead lap.
That's Johnny Sauter in the 70.
See, the 70's right there. Denny's got a little bit of a hole right there, and he tries to squeeze over. That was not bad. That's
not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Of course, I did see a guy get out of his car last night and go confront another driver with a very similar situation.
But I might add, Jeff Gordon didn't do anything wrong there. Denny Hamlin was just trying to squeeze down in a hole that wasn't quite there.
He wants to put that car a lap down because he knows they might get it better before the night's over.
Caution free through 46 laps. Denny Hamlin has led every one of them. He won the pole. He won last night. Trying to complete the weekend sweep here at his home racetrack.
Now, the thing that Jeff Gordon's got to do is get around that 70 car because he's in the free pass position right now. Jeff needs to try to stay in contact with the 11 car in case a caution does come out. He get back on the lead lap.
Just to kind of finish that story, while I was talking to Steve Letarte and talking to him about the car, and he was telling me this tire has really thrown him a curve, that's when they tapped him on the shoulder and said, Steve, car won't crank. He looked at me and he said, when it rains, it pours.
But you know what, Larry, just think back to practice, Mike. When Jeff Gordon didn't run one lap, and he said, we're in trouble with this car.
11th place for Dale Earnhardt Jr. for passing Ryan Newman. Krista.
Well, this is really of no surprise to us, Mike. I know the fans are excited. He started 22nd. He is all the way up to 11th, trying to work his way into the top 10. Junior hasn't said much on the radio. In fact, we just came on on the radio a few laps ago. He did speak for the entire lap, though. He gave Tony Lowry Jr. a play-by-play dissection of the corner. He said, I need to roll to the center better. I'm free in, but that does not bother me.
And one of the things that I think Junior is really working hard on, Larry, and he talked to us about this, is his communication with Tony Jr. I need to give him better feedback, and I need to be a little easier on him. Because after all, they're cousins, and they talk a little bit different, but people listen to them on their radio, and they interpret it all wrong.
Yeah, he said, I want to be able to talk to him openly and be myself, whether I'm talking about my race car, maybe I'm talking about some land or property he bought. He said, I still want to be me, but maybe I need to be just a little easier. But he said, you know what? I can't wait during practice to get into the garage to talk to him one-on-one where people can't hear what we're saying.
There's Tony Jr., who is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s cousin. When you grow up with somebody that's family, you get pretty plain spoken, and you're right, not a lot of the people with scanners, or even when we pick up audio, take that into account.
Well, just think, Earnhardt and Lowry. I mean, you know, Hatfield and McCoy.
Yeah, right. Oh.
That be cousins.
Third place, Martin Truex. Casey Kane has been coming, and he may become the new third place car here in a lap or two. They're about 4 seconds off the lead.
You know, I was talking about how well the 48 car looked yesterday in practice. He made a little bit of a move to the front, but Matt Yoakum, he has actually fallen back just a little bit.
Larry Mack, he came on the radio about 15 laps ago, and Chad Canals told him to go ahead and dial some rear brake back into the car. The car is a little bit on the tight side, but the one thing that stands out about this team, they showcased it at Phoenix. As the track changes from daylight to darkness, this team excels like no other in staying ahead of the track changing. And that was the last thing that Chad told Jimmy before they took the green flag. This race, 4 segments, 100 laps each. The final 100 is the most important.
There's Casey Kane driving by Martin Truex Jr. in that 1 car. This 9 car definitely is getting better as it goes into this long run.
See what happens to Martin here. Oh, the thing just gets real loose, and when they do that, you get off the gas, and it's got to correct itself. You don't have a whole lot to do with it.
But you know, just to put a period on that 48 car, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series car really doesn't have any adjustments that the driver can make from inside the cockpit, with the exception of adjusting front and rear brake bias. Sounds like the thing's not turning, so what Chad Canals is telling him, put a little more rear brake in it.
Denny Hamlin trying to lap past the 15 of Paul Menard, the 31st place car.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
64 laps complete, no change in the top 7. Tony Stewart has moved into 8th as caution waves for the first time tonight for Johnny Sauter.
Right front tire.
Pretty good, yeah. Right front flat. Down or what?
One thing that can cause tire problems here, you create so much brake heat, you can actually cook the bead of the tire. You can see right there in turn 4, tire went soft, couldn't even think about turning that car.
Yeah, well, the camber that they run, which is the tire leaned in at the top, you can wear the inside of a tire out. Brake heat, number of things.
That's got to look like deja vu all over again. Was it 2 or 3 years here when Johnny Sauter took that same long ride from the apex of turn 3 and slammed the wall hard and knocked his car out of the race that time? With the new car, you have a much better chance of driving that back to the pits and fixing it up to race again. You got a NASCAR question anytime, anything you want to know pops into your mind, we've got the answer for you. Ask the Pros, built by the Home Depot on foxsports.com. And a growing list of experts are there 24/7 to answer your questions, and you'll hear the answer at foxsports.com/askthepros.
Well, she's going to be busy on pit road. We got 30 cars on the lead lap. Guarantee all 30 will be there for 4 tires and probably several adjustments.
Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. says he's tight in the center, free in and free off. He ranked his free condition about a 3. Matt Yoakum.
Mark Martin's car was tight, but it started to go a little more to the loose side, so he backed off on this big change. They were expecting just a half a round. To Steve.
Matt, Denny Hamlin told Mike Ford, really help me off the corners. So they've dropped air pressure in the rear tires, and they're going to raise the track bar. Casey Kane, meanwhile, in the 9 car, also air out of the front tires.
31 cars on the lead lap. Brian Vickers will get the free pass and move back onto the lead lap as you look at the DirecTV race-off pit road. Is anybody else going to lead this race tonight but Denny Hamlin?
Well, he's going right now. It's going to be tough, but you can't give up positions on pit road, not in this race.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By Gillette, feel phenomenal with Gillette Fusion Power Phenom, the only razor used by the Gillette Young Guns. And by Allstate. Are you in good hands?
70 laps complete. Denny Hamlin, your leader in Richmond, as we're ready for our clear to drive restart. We'll take one more lap as they have waved off the restart to get everybody in line. There will be 31 cars on the lead lap when they come by in the outside lane to take the green. The first run produces some interesting images. Here's Denny Hamlin. Watch the right front of his car as the wheel comes off.
Yeah, this is when you'll get the most brake dust on that first time in, because the pads are all new, everything's brand new, and you're going to shave off the most of your brake pad on the initial run.
But besides watching the rotors glow, the crew chief will look and see how much dust hits pit road, and he'll kind of give that driver a judge. And he may even have that tire changer about 200 or 300 laps into this race, just take a quick peek at those brake pads, making sure you got enough to get to the end.
New face in the top 5 is Elliott Sadler. In the number 19, he has moved up to 5th on the pit exchange.
Yeah, he was hanging around the top 10 there, so that's a good pit stop for those guys.
Green flag at 72 laps.
The real fight will be up there with those guys on the inside line, like Scott Riggs in the 66 and Jeff Gordon in the 24, trying to be the first car lap down. You're the first car lap down. The caution comes out. You get what we call the free pass back on the lead lap.
Short track Saturday night. What better time for a crank it up with NASCAR on Fox? So things happen fast, but it takes the field a long time to sort out and get anywhere near single file. Now Kyle Busch has moved up to 3rd in the number 18. Martin Truex, who started this race 2nd and ran there for quite a while, has dropped a spot to 6th. Matt, what's the matter with Truex?
Mike, lap 20, Martin asked if his brakes were glowing. Kevin Bono Mannion pitted right across from the entry to turn 1, said no, they look fine. Relative to the others, they look great. And then right before that stop, Truex asked again, are my brakes glowing? They responded again, no. He says because the pedal is down and it's bouncing around, so there is some concern about the pedal, the braking system for the one at Truex.
Now, let me just explain something. When you feel that vibration in the pedal, a lot of times that vibration will knock the pads away from the rotor. So when you first initially go to the brake, you won't have much pedal. You got to hit it a lick. You got to hit it a lick to get the pads pushed out.
Oh, that was Sam Hornish who brushed the wall.
There's some wall brushing going on back in there, I'm telling you.
Talladega winner Kyle Busch is moving forward. Steve?
Mike, the Joe Gibbs cars run 1st, 3rd, and 10th. Kyle Busch on the last pit stop, they made air pressure adjustments. They made a his teammate Tony Stewart. They just needed to be freed up in the middle.
Hey, Steve, everything's gone right for Denny Hamlin lately. How's his golf game?
Well, Mike, Chris Devoto told me last week, when you're hot, you're hot. Denny Hamlin had a hole-in-one on a course at the Peninsula back in Cornelius, North Carolina, and he says he has witnesses.
Wow. Yes, he has been on a roll this week.
Well, Darrell, you said Talladega's a par 5. This is a par 3.
Yeah.
Hamlin had a hole-in-one on a par 3, and he's led every lap tonight.
Yeah, well, he's setting up for another one here tonight. I can tell you that. That car is awesome, man. That thing is pulling away from everybody except little buddy back there, Mark Martin, and he's keeping him in striking distance.
But I think this car we're riding with, I think he's going to be a player here before too long. He just drove by Kevin Harvick in the 29. We're riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, started back in 22nd position. This is a battle for 6th that we're watching right now.
We've documented Jeff Gordon's woes. He made a stop under this caution, trying to make that car better. Dick, what did they do?
Almost nothing, Mike. Gordon said that the car is still snapping loose. The big problem is that it's tight, and then the back end tries to come around when he gets on the gas. The only changes that they made were to initial air pressure adjustment. He has passed just 11 cars since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, but he's done something that's good for him right now, Dick, and he's in the free pass position. If he can stay there, they've definitely helped that car from the way it started. But he's not back in that heavy traffic now.
Well, let's hear what Jeff Gordon's saying about that car now.
All right, race to 66 for the Lucky Dog. It's a long race still, so if we don't get him here, we'll keep making you better. We're just going to have to get it when it counts, buddy. You're doing good. I know it's not good, man. Just keep taking care of it. We'll get somewhere.
That was during the caution flag. Saw a little smoke there as he came off the corner.
That car does that a lot. It rubs the fender a lot. I mean, I don't think there's a race that we haven't been to that he doesn't have a little smoke coming off the tires.
And why is Jeff Gordon such a story? He won the pole here last year for this race, but this week has his worst start at Richmond ever.
But I just believe what Steve Letarte, who we just heard, being a cheerleader to Jeff Gordon, I think what he told me is the absolute truth. Go back to Phoenix. Jeff Gordon won Phoenix there last year, and he was not that good when we were there. You heard Matt Yoakum earlier say, same tire combination we ran at Phoenix. I just don't think they can give him a feel right now that he's looking for with this generation of Goodyear race tires. You know, Mike, you talked about how durable these cars are. We do need to mention Johnny Sauter, Dave Scogan, that 70 car. They're still out there, only 2 laps down. In fact, running just out in front of Denny Hamlin right now. Of course, Denny's running him down now, but that just shows how durable this new car is, that you can hit the wall like that, come to pit road, pull the fender out, change the right front tire, and you're back out on the racetrack. That's the reason we have so many cars running at the end of these races now.
When we restarted at lap 72, Elliott Sadler was the 4th place car. They picked up a lot of spots on pit road, perhaps by changing just 2 tires. Sadler is now paying the price for whatever change they made to get him track position. He's just fallen to 17th.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you right now, the leader's in 3 and 4, and he's in 1 and 2. He's only about a straightaway and a half behind, Steve.
DW just checked with the team. The problem with Elliott Sadler was somebody else made contact with him, and he lost about 5 positions and lost all the momentum he had from the restart. He's trying to get back into a rhythm.
But, Steve, I can't imagine those guys. They had to have changed 4 tires. If you've been watching, you want 4 tires every chance you get.
At the front of the field, the Richmond area fans, and there are lots of them here, have had plenty to cheer about. Their boy, Denny Hamlin, has led every lap so far. The Gibbs cars run 1st, 3rd, and 9th right now, with Denny Hamlin having led every lap so far. Kyle Busch in 3rd. Tony's in the top 10. While we're away, Kevin Harvick moved into the 4th place, and Dale Earnhardt 5th. Martin Truex slipping to 6th. Still 31 cars on the lead lap. Let's look at the biggest movers in the race so far. Clint Boyer for Richard Childress, plus 20. Krista.
Mike, before that caution came out, Clint Boyer was actually the fastest car on the track, but on his pit stop on the radio he said, "I'm sorry guys," before they went green. What was he apologizing
0807 car qualify back as far as he did in 31st, that he would be a player tonight. He finished 9th at Talladega. That was his 6th consecutive top 10 finish, sitting quietly 7th in the Sprint Cup Series points.
Tell you one thing, Larry, been watching these cars, watching our monitor, our lap times here, and a guy that is really picking up, that guy right there on the screen, the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, he's been a couple of tenths quicker than even our leader.
Matt?
Kevin Harvick told Todd Berrier's crew chief right before their stop that they needed to make a big swing and adjustments because the car was so loose as soon as he even touched the throttle. It was spinning out sideways loose. They made a number of changes, and it has really come to life. He is moving toward the front, and then one of the goers would be the one of Martin Truex Jr. More issues with his brake pedal. He said it's really bouncing now.
The Childress cars now run in 4th, 11th, and point leader Jeff Burton 21st.
I'm not really surprised that cars like the 29 Kevin Harvick, Todd Berry had to make that big swing on the first pit stop. Remember, an impound race, they had to qualify what they were going to race, and I'm sure they had things just a little different to make adjustments on that first stop.
Yeah, and I said earlier in our pre-race show, I worry about Jeff Burton for one reason. Jeff Burton's a great racer, and he always able to pull out a good finish, but you cannot qualify at the back every week and get up through there like he has. Been very, very fortunate. That's going to bite him before it's over with.
Yeah, right now he's only about 7 seconds in front of leader Denny Hamlin, who has led all 104 laps of this thing so far.
And there he is. And Larry, I mean, he's obviously not all that comfortable with his car. You see him really jerking on the wheel, putting quite a bit of effort into that car right now.
It's like he's really having to wait on it a long time in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, he's got 2 hands full. When you got the right hand and the left hand all the way down toward your lap, you are pulling that thing hard through the turn. It's kind of old school driving. That's the way we used to do it. But he's got a car that looks like it's awfully tight with the front end right now.
Well, one way they got very lucky, despite having a bad qualifying run, which means a late draw for pit position, there were still some spots open down toward turn 1. So they've got a good pit position from which to make up some time if they get a chance.
There's no substitute for pitting toward the exit side of pit road, because when you complete that pit stop, you don't have to go that far to win the battle with another car off of pit road.
I think you could ask Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt if he was here, that when they won all those championships and the champion was able to pick the first pit every week, that really was a big advantage, particularly when we get to tracks like this.
I was not a fan of that rule, and I remember doing a race with you and asking you about it. You think it's, and you said, I think it's a great rule. And I looked at you, huh? And you go, if you're the champion.
If you're the champion, it was.
David Reagan and Jimmy Johnson. Boy, Reagan has been a great, pleasant surprise to the Roush Fenway organization this season, and he was the fastest Ford pretty much all weekend going into tonight's race in that number 6.
Just like at Talladega last week, the fastest Ford all weekend long, had a top 5 run down there, and has quietly moved into 15th in the Sprint Cup Series points with his 6 car.
And it's like some of these drivers, it's like a switch is flipped, but it's 2 things. The driver gets better, but the team gets better of giving the driver what he needs so he can do his job.
109 laps complete at the former Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway, now Richmond International. Denny Hamlin has led every lap, but it's a long way to go in Richmond.
Hey man, come on, down in front. That's right, man, I am in front. More NASCAR on Fox coming up next.
NASCAR on Fox. Denny Hamlin has led all the way, 118 laps in, 282 to go here. Time for an AT&T race break, and Hamlin in all 5 of his career Richmond Cup races, he has led. In fact, this is the 4th time, or 4 different times, he's led more than 100 laps in his career. He's only won 1 of those races. But Jeff Hammond, how about the pace of this race so far? Just 1 caution.
It is wicked fast. I mean, right now I'm really surprised. These guys are playing awful nice as far as a short track race at this point. And basically Denny Hamlin is having his way with this field at the present time, but he's got to make sure he doesn't get complacent and not keep up with this racetrack. Otherwise, take for example his teammate Kyle Busch. He knows what Denny's got in his car. He knows what's going on, and he'll also know what kind of adjustments they're making and they can get a little more aggressive if they need to so they can run him down.
Kyle Busch currently running third. Mark Martin in between the two Joe Gibbs Toyotas. Steve Burns telling us moments ago about Kyle Busch's transmission, about, hey, I'm stalled where I am. I'm going to try a different place on the track.
Well, it's a great thing about Richmond. You can move around. You run the low group. You run through the middle. You can run high. You can try a lot of different lines to figure out whether you can get a little bit more grip or at least work on the problems that you're having. So right now I'm watching Kyle Busch. He's gone back to the bottom. But here's a guy that's starting to drop like a rock. Early on, it looked like Jimmy Johnson was going to have a good solid run tonight, but he's presently 27th. But he's knocked the left front fender in. He got together, looks like here, with a 38 car. Keep watching here. There he goes right there. He got together with Gilliland, and that knocked that left front fender in, and not so much it probably hurt the aero, but he's definitely got a fender rub, and that's not a good thing. You keep watching it. Again, that's annoying. It could be upsetting the race car.
Jimmy Johnson, who swept the races last year in Richmond, winning both, currently 27th. You were watching on board through the AT&T car of the points leader Jeff Burton and the damage caused to Jimmy Johnson. And here are the top 4 car numbers picked by our viewers to win today's race. You can watch our pre-race coverage each week to play. Remember, next Saturday night we'll be in Darlington. Those are the numbers for now. Again, Denny Hamlin holding off Mark Martin, and Kevin Harvick moving into third ahead of Kyle Busch. This has been an AT&T race break. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. One more lap, and we're at the quarter pole of this race. Actually, we're past it. We're 124 now out of this 400 lapper, and Hamlin's led every lap with a long way to go. You know, last night's race started out like this, Darrell. The first half of the race was run with only one brief caution. Then things got pretty serious.
That's short track racing. I mean, you know, you get aggravated with your car, you get aggravated with your crew, you get aggravated with people out there on the track. You start retaliating a little bit here and there, and it happens late in the day. But one thing I noticed, the top 20 cars, Larry, are within 1/10 of a second of running the same speed. When Kyle Busch said, I'm stalled out, everybody's stalled out.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to qualifying yesterday, a car that missed the show was less than 0.5 of a second slower than Denny Hamlin that sat on the pole. So it's been very close and tight here all weekend long. We talked about Patrick Compartier. Darrell talked to him under the pace laps. Qualified 4th right now. He's about to fall under the clutches of our leader, Denny Hamlin. So when he puts the 10-car lap down, we will have 27 cars on the lead lap. And look at that next car he's zeroing in, that 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
Steve, how about hole-in-one Hamlin's evening so far?
Mike, his crew chief Mike Ford just said, Denny, tell me about your race car before you get into traffic. And he said, I am really good now in the center, just a little bit free off. Mike said, did we make your car better? He said, 10-4, caution is out.
Debris on the back straightaway put us under caution for the second time tonight. That caution is a huge break for Carpentier, Jimmy Johnson, Elliott Sadler, and Michael Waltrip, who were right in front of the race leader.
And it completely just killed Jeff Gordon, because Jeff Gordon fell right in line there behind a lot of those top cars. But getting into this long run, Denny Hamlin just kept putting more cars a lap down, and Jeff Gordon now was the 4th or 5th car in line to get the free pass.
Yeah, if Jeff can get his car this pit stop, make the improvement he made on the first one, he might be able to get that lap back.
Jamie McMurray was the first car a lap down. He will receive the free pass. And they're on pit road. Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wanting some bite out of the left rear. Tony Eury Jr.'s call, 1 round out. Dale Jr. also wants the air pressure adjusted. That's the call for the 88. Matt.
Mark Martin stopped short in his box. They're going to make another chassis adjustment to try to help his car through the center of the corner. Meanwhile, the big gain on that run was Kevin Harvick. No chassis adjustments for the 29, Steve.
Matt, when the caution came out, Denny Hamlin said it's just now starting to get a little bit snug, so they're going to make air pressure adjustments and go up on the track bar. Mike?
Well, can he keep the lead? Here comes Mark Martin. Here goes Hamlin. He does. He keeps the lead.
I think Mark Martin, Tony Gibson, the 8 car, they had a better pit stop at that pit selection there. That's what won that battle.
There's your race off pit road. A little gain there for Boyer and Newman. Close, but Hamlin keeps the lead. .132 laps complete. Fields in turn 3. Ready to go green with our clear to drive restart. Get clear and clear. Get back to feeling like yourself again. Denny Hamlin, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Dale Jr. will bring them to the green.
I think we're going to see some action now. I think that 29 and that 88 both are pretty darn good.
Mike, you talked about that was a huge lucky break for Jimmy Johnson 48 car. I think Chad Knaus decided to make a big swing. He brought that 48 car back to pit road a couple of times. A lot of major adjustments here on this second caution.
When your car's like Hamlin's, better than everybody else, last thing you want is a caution flag. When you're trying to catch somebody like that, you wish they had one about every 25 or 30 laps. Keep
3 wide into the corner.
Yikes.
Is this going to work?
Sometimes.
And what you've got at the top right there between the 88 and the 1, you've got a battle for 5th position. What you have down at the bottom, you've got a battle trying to be that first car a lap down. And then McDowell gets into Brian Vickers, shoots him up the racetrack.
Wow. I don't know how he saved
and
it.
That's part of the excitement of short track racing is you can do that. You can give a guy a wheel and move him over without either car wrecking, and you go on to race again another lap or 100.
Yeah, well, the thing about turn 1 here, it's like a funnel. It's all great, big, and wide right here, but when you get down to turn 1, there isn't a lot of room there for 2 or 3 cars.
And that stacks up the field behind the incident. No caution. We race on.
But what that did for Michael McDowell in the 00 car, it now puts him that first car lap down, and he's actually battling Jeff Gordon in the 24 who wants to get up there and be the first car lap down.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Jeff Gordon says that the car is a lot better than it was at the beginning of the night, Mike, but it is still very tight when the right front drops down on the bump stop. That basically takes the suspension out of the right front corner of the car. Crew Chief Steve Letarte all night long has been encouraging his driver, telling him that they're going to get it, they're going to get the car better. What they really need to do, and they do understand this, is to become the first car 1 lap down, and it looks real good for that right now.
Oh, we got a spin off turn 2, guys.
Montoya in the wall. And caution waves.
Fine, boys. Got the left front damage. See if you can get it fired up. You're still good. Leader's getting into 1.
Caution for the 3rd time tonight.
A lot of damage.
Just
left
fun,
front tire
lightweight.
is down. Remember, after finishing 2nd at Talladega last week, Montoya moved into the top 12 in points.
Bet somebody gets into that left front and cuts it down.
Look on the right side of your screen from the Goodyear blimp. He's next to J.J. Yaley there, the 96.
He just got loose and lost it.
Yeah, I don't think I think that left front went down when it did that right there.
Denny Hamlin has led every lap so far. Caution is out for the 3rd time tonight.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the Ford F-150. Built Ford tough. By Wendy's. It's way better than fast food. It's Wendy's. By Scott's Turf Builder Water Smart Formula. Build a healthier lawn using less water. And by Coca-Cola Zero. Real Coke taste and 0 calories.
On the last pit stop under caution, one crewman got upended. And it happened when 4th place Reed Sorensen was leading 5th place Tony Stewart into the pits from the DirecTV Hot Pass cam.
Wow.
Jason Lee, Tony's jackman, went up and over. Now watch how close Tony is to Reed coming in.
And that's the reason Jason Lee couldn't go out there, because the 41 was coming in and there just wasn't any room for him to run across the front of the car.
And because Sorensen short pitted right at the back of his pit, you'll see when Tony pulls out here, there's not a lot of room either.
But you don't think these guys are athletes? He never checked up with that jack, getting the right side and then the left side of that car up.
I think Tony told the 41 to move up a little bit next time, please.
If you don't, I'll move you
please.
up.
Bobby Labonte's been into the wall in the Speed Racer Petty car, and Jeff Gordon gets the free pass. He was the first car 1 lap down when Montoya got into the wall. Time for tonight's State Farm Safety Report, which Jeff Hammond filed earlier today.
Folks, we've talked about the cool box and how it cools air as far as the onboard air conditioning is concerned. But let me show you one other thing else important about this unit besides just cooling ambient air down 24 to 35 degrees. You pull that little cover off. Inside this unit is an air filter. That's right, not just an air filter, a carbon monoxide air filter. That air, as it comes inside the car from the outside, push through this NACA duct and through the unit, once again, up through inside the filter itself, into the top of the helmet. Realizing not only is it cool air, but it's also fresher air. 75% carbon monoxide removed at such racetracks like here tonight at Richmond, or more importantly, in a couple weeks, how about 600 miles at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
I'll look at Jeff Burton. See that cool box behind his seat, back behind the main hoop of the roll cage.
And that's one reason why these guys can race more than one day a week. Back in the day, man, I'm telling you, you would be sick as a dog after a race, but you never knew why. And I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
And we need to mention it only been 5 laps since we restarted. We had a lot of guys at the back of the field come in, make more adjustments, like Casey Mears, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Waltrip, Elliott Sadler, Jeff Gordon, who got the free pass, Jamie McMurray, and Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 that brought the caution out.
Little brother. And there's O Speed Racer.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's got a lot of work done on that spot. There's Bobby Labonte. The movie comes out next week.
Yeah, they're swinging for the fence every pit stop right now with that 48 car, but I will guarantee you they will get it where it needs to be.
Listen, Kyle Busch last night went a lap down early. I just said that there's no way he'll finish in the top 20. Came back and fought for a win right at the end.
Denny Hamlin has led every lap.
Digger, it's calm now, but you better get back in your hole.
I love Digger.
Green flag.
I'd say these guys are not shy on these restarts.
No, they are not.
They just stick it right on in there.
How about Mark Martin? The fellow's been second ever since about 15 laps into this race, past his teammate Martin Truex. He's been second all night long.
And you know what, Mike? I think I talked about this at Phoenix. That guy he's chasing, when Mark Martin started his Sprint Cup Series career, Denny Hamlin was 5 months old. The kid chasing Mark Martin, Kyle Busch in the 18, he wasn't even a twinkle in Dad's eye yet.
Harvick and Kyle Busch battling for third.
You know, Harvick could have won that race last night if he'd have just if he'd come in and gotten tires right there at the very end, but he gambled and stayed out, and it cost him a win, but he had the best car.
That's what I based one of our keys on. Get those fresh tires every chance you get.
Let's see how fast these guys are bailing off into turn 1, Larry.
Which is definitely the faster entrance of the two ends of the racetrack.
About 145, 46 mile an hour on a little track like this, down to about 90 in the middle of the corner.
You can see how they really have to play with the throttle. They're well up on the straightaway before they can get 100% with that throttle.
Here comes Junior to the outside of Kevin Harvick.
And you saw a little less speed. That's 860 feet down the back and 1290 down the front. So get a good bit more speed going into turn 1. Big, long, sweeping front straightaway.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now, I think he's faster than both of these race cars. He just was boxed in.
He just took the bone away from that dog. I know that.
Give that dog another bone.
Somebody yanked up on the leash. That dog got sideways.
I don't know if he's been leash trained or not.
You know, we well documented it in the pre-race show. This is the 2nd anniversary, not one that he wants to be celebrating since Dale Earnhardt Jr. last went to victory lane 71 races ago when he was driving for DEI.
Hey, another country heard from. Cousin Carl has come up into the top 10. That's Carl Edwards in the 99. The winningest driver on the tour so far this year, up against the 12, the Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Newman.
Well, you give he and Bob Osborne a couple of cautions, little input from a driver, might just get in the hunt here.
And Bob Osborne is crew chief back after a 6-week suspension after the oil tank lid situation at Las Vegas, back on top of the pit box for the first time since Las Vegas.
I love Bob Osborne. You know, he's one of those kind of guys everybody's running around. We got a fire, we got a fire. Bob says, somebody get a fire extinguisher.
10-4.
A lot of Fox Saturday baseball next week leading into our race Saturday night under the lights in Darlington, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Got the lady in black has some new asphalt. Boy, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got knocked up the racetrack right there.
Boy, that was a moment.
Yeah. Let's see this again.
It's coming to turn 3 and 4.
It's his old buddy. Didn't have it. No, I didn't have a thing to do with it. The car just got bad sideways, loose.
He had his hands full. I think the hand spoke for himself.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Had to put a couple of whoop whoops on that thing.
Darrell, how many laps does it take you to get your rhythm back when something like that happens?
Depends on how old you are.
Good answer.
Yeah, he only lost 2 spots. He settled back in 7th.
He never even noticed.
He may have gained positions.
Right.
Denny Hamlin is wearing them out here in Richmond. Long way to go. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
I like the way this one's looking. Stay tuned to NASCAR on Fox.
The one place that Dan Lowry has not visited tonight is the Goodyear Blimp. They provide our aerial coverage for track-tested technology. Get there on Goodyear Innovation. Dan won a contest for the naming rights to the race, and now he's visiting our Fox production truck. And hope he's having a good time tonight watching Denny Hamlin so dominate this race. We talked during the break amongst ourselves. Perhaps this car is a 1/10 of a second faster than Mark Martin and everybody else, and perhaps Denny, motivated to win just a few miles from where he grew up, is worth another 1/10.
Well, they said Coach Joe Gibbs is on a cruise. So's his boys.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, cruise control.
Yeah, they're on cruise
right
control.
Now, Kyle Busch is 3rd, and Tony Stewart is just inside the top 10 in that 20 car 10th.
7th place, Clint Boyer. You know, Richard Childress Chevy moving past Casey Kane's Bud car.
Now let's see, there was one short track we went to, if I recall correctly, a few weeks ago. 31, 29, and 07. Finished 1, 2, 3
at Phoenix or at Bristol.
Bristol, yeah.
Yes. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has recovered from getting loose off turn 4 a few laps ago. He went back by Martin Truex Jr. and Casey Kane. He's just going to drive underneath Kevin Harvick going into turn 1. He'll take the 4th spot away.
You do a little giving and taking right now.
You do a lot more taking later.
Later on, it might be a little different story.
Yeah, there'll be just a very short few magic words here not too long from now. Spotter crew chief will say 75 laps to go. That's when they'll reach up there and pull those belts really tight and get after it.
They're the top 3 Chevys in the race right now. Mark Martin has been second just about the entire race. Martin Truex and Clint Boyer just out of the top 5.
You don't really, I won't say you pace yourself. Certainly if you're Denny Hamlin, he's up there in, like we said, in cruise control. But you do have to keep something in mind, is your brakes. You don't want to end up at the end of the night with a good car and no brakes.
Now for the second time tonight, Kevin Harvick, Larry, has quickly given away 2 spots. Just then, Martin Truex went by, picked up another one.
Well, if you notice, these guys near the front, they're kind of spread out right now. And Kevin Harvick is smart enough to know if Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex caught me, they're going to go by me. Don't sit here and fight them and lose more ground to people that's behind you as well.
But look, is there anybody behind him?
No. Not too close.
So, I mean, he can give up those spots and kind of be in the rocking chair. You know, nobody in front of me, nobody behind me.
You know, as we watched Denny Hamlin there, Steve Burns reminded me, and he's about to catch a bunch of traffic. We had Denny Hamlin on our trackside show on Speed last night. Now, Denny Hamlin, not only does he drive for Joe Gibbs, he's Joe Gibbs' next door neighbor. And what we asked Denny, what is it like having the coach, Joe Gibbs, back full-time at the racetrack, and oh, by the way, full-time is your neighbor? He said, well, at the racetrack, it's actually going pretty good. He's a little ticked off on me, though, about being my neighbor because we've got a basketball go. We've lit the basketball court, and the lights shine right in his bedroom. Not a happy man right now. Not a happy next-door neighbor. Steve.
Well, Larry Mack, Denny Hamlin is happy right now. He just told Mike Ford, I'm really good in the center, and I'm getting better and better drive off the corners.
news for the rest of the field.
It is. Yeah, and as soon as Denny wins a few more races, I'm sure he'll be moving on up into a new neighborhood.
I tell you what, A.J. Allmendinger, we're approaching the halfway point of this race in the 84 car. Qualified for his first race last week at Talladega, had a great qualifying run, came here, had to qualify on time, qualified 18th. We always go, wonder how fast he'll go backwards. You know what? He has not. He is sitting there in the 17th position. He's been on the lead lap, and look at the race car. It doesn't have a mark on it. Daryl, I think you know what has happened to this guy.
Well, two things. He went to school. Mike Skinner really taught this kid a lot about how to set his car up. I think two things happened. Mike helped the driver. Mike helped the team get the car better.
Confidence.
Much confidence.
AJ is 17th, and just ahead there's Jeff Gordon, who got the free pass a caution ago. He's fought his way back up to 15th place.
And just a little bit more on Allmendinger. When you're a rookie and you tell the team something, they don't know what you're talking about or not.
Right.
When Mike Skinner gets in there and he tells them something, they believe him.
Denny Hamlin out front at Richmond under the lights. 175 laps complete.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by non-drowsy Claritin Allergy Products.
The most anybody's ever led on the 3/4 mile track here at Richmond. Bill Elliott, 1992, led 348 laps en route to victory. Tonight, so far, hometown hero Denny Hamlin has led them all. He is 3.6 seconds ahead of Mark Martin, who has been in second place almost the entire night. Kyle Busch is third, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fourth, and Martin Truex rounds out the top five. NASCAR President Mike Helton joins us upstairs, proudly wearing his NASCAR Day pin.
I got mine.
Here's what they look like. You can get them at the Home Depot. It goes for a great cause and to benefit the NASCAR Foundation and all its worthy causes. So if you wear that on NASCAR Day, you get to wear your NASCAR gear to work. Now there's a stretch.
That is. This is our 5th NASCAR Day, May the 16th, and it started off as an opportunity for all race fans to show their colors on that Friday. So we're excited about May the 16th, and everybody should come out to work. Hopefully their employer lets them do that. Ours does, thank goodness.
That's why I say it's no stretch. We get to wear our NASCAR gear every day we go to work.
You had to be blown away how the fans have embraced this NASCAR Day. I mean, it is just busting at the seams every time we have it.
It has. Every year it gets better, and not just fans, but the corporate sponsors, the broadcast partners, the garage area, and everybody has begun to really embrace NASCAR Day, so it's working out very well.
Yeah, it is. We go over to Sam Bass's there next to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, or Lowe's Motor Speedway, and they have a telethon where drivers come and you can call in and make contributions to your favorite charity, MRO in my case, your favorite foundation, whomever it may be, or in the NASCAR Foundation. So it's a good way for all the fans to participate, and it's a great event.
And it's a lot of fun too, and everybody does come together, and it's a great day. It's 1-800-May 16th is the phone number on Friday, May the 16th. There is a telethon. A lot of the garage area, all of us will be there. A lot of the garage area will come in and out and participate in it, and the funds from that day gets distributed out back the way the fans want it to. If they want it to go to a specific foundation or a driver's cause, then it goes out that way.
Yep. We'll look forward to it. So get your pin. They're on sale at the Home Depot, or you can go online and support NASCAR Day and a lot of great causes.
One other quick thing before I leave you guys. Congratulations on your Emmy this week. That's a neat deal. I think it's your 3rd one in 7 seasons. So we're not only proud of you, we're grateful. You guys do a great job, so thank you.
Well, we're proud of it. We're proud of the great relationship we have with the sport. Folks, you don't know it, but to avoid a conflict with baseball, NASCAR pushed back the start of the race 5 minutes to help us out a little bit tonight, and we appreciate all the cooperation. Thank you.
Good deal.
At Richmond, Virginia, Denny Hamlin continues to wear out this field. 188 laps in the books. He's lapping at 23.75 right now. He is not the fastest car on the track, but he's got a big cushion, Darrell. He's got 3.6 seconds on the field. He's got to work some lap traffic. So it's not an easy ride for Hamlin, but it's a hard ride trying to catch him.
Yeah, anytime you look at the lap, the times over here, he consistently picks the speed up when he has to.
There's Mark Martin, who pretty much, if Denny Hamlin has led 189 laps, I think Mark Martin has run second for 189 laps. But I think maybe as anticipated, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, remember they got the free pass on the last caution, and now he's working his way up into the top 15. Dick Berggren, looks like the adjustments are working on this 24.
Yeah, they are. He's passed 14 cars since that last caution flag when he came in, pitted for 4 tires. The adjustments have all been with air pressure in the tires. The wrench has not gone into the back end of that race car yet. Number 24 storming to the front. His lap times are in general not quite as good as Denny Hamlin's, but nobody else's are either.
And just remember, on that last caution, Jeff Gordon, along with 6 or 7 others, they were the ones that came to pit road, got 4 tires and adjustments. So we're getting down to about 20 to 25 laps when, like, our leader has to pit. These guys can run just a little bit further than that.
Yeah, and don't worry about that smoke. Again, we see that a lot out of the 24 car. Right. And the thing that made it tough for these guys, they had to go to the back, and that got them in trouble early, and they got a lap down. But when you're in an impound situation like we were here, if you got a bad race car, you can only fix it once the race gets started, and that's what they've been able to do.
Oh, by the way, Michael Waltrip bounced off the wall in turn 2, but since that's chapter 9 of that novel that he's writing tonight, we'll kind of let that one go. No damage. He continued. No problem.
No, he's got that figured out. He's got a spot over he likes.
Now, we had an impound race last week at Talladega, and I think we well documented why at the 2 Talladega races and the July Daytona race that NASCAR does the impound is to save the owners money. The big reason at the 2 Richmond races, because of it being a Saturday night race, it's really all about track scheduling. The reason they've turned it into an impound race, these 2 short track races.
Yeah, I heard one of the crew chiefs say that, you know, it's really a nice deal for them, because if they had to come back out here today and be at the track all day and then race tonight, it really zaps them, and it really hurts their performance tonight. So have the day off and come in tonight and run a great race.
Carl Edwards 8th, chasing that maroon 07 of Clint Boyer, who just got into Montoya, coming past the start-finish line, or vice versa. And there's a lot of smoke from Montoya down in turn 2.
Now remember, Montoya brought our last caution out. It looks like right now he's still got that left front fender rubbing, but he's sitting out there right now 1 lap down.
No, that contact, he's going to have to come to pit road now.
Yeah, if he doesn't come to pit road, he'll be the next caution.
He is hoping to get a caution and not to be a caution.
Well, he's going to be one if he doesn't come down here pretty quick. I think the spotter ought to be telling him that that's a pretty serious tire rub and she's getting ready to blow.
I'd be ready, boys.
Yes, I would be.
Yeah, good advice. You ought to see it from where we're sitting.
Should the caution wave, Reed Sorensen would get back on the lead lap. He right now is the first car 1 lap down. We're going to be at halfway here in 2 laps.
That 18 car, Kyle Busch, there was a little gap there. He thought about trying to shoot through between Patrick Carpentier and Mark, but he decided better.
But he is definitely working over Mark Martin in that 8 car right now. This will be a battle for second.
Steve?
Mike, it's a lot of fun listening to Kyle Busch. He just said to his crew chief, Steve Addington, am I at least a quarter of a tenth better than Denny? Steve said, no, but keep digging. Kyle said, I'm going to dig all the way to China.
And I can believe that.
Kyle Busch in position to leave here with the Sprint Cup point lead. Halfway, 200 laps. Denny Hamlin's led them all, but we're only halfway. Martin Truex Jr. moved up to 4th just before this, the 4th caution of the night. Regan Smith and A.J. Allmendinger. Darrell, that started all the way back in the front stretch, finished up coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, they got together over here coming down into turn 1, and then Regan just took him out over in turn 2.
Krista.
Dale Jr.'s car is getting better on the long runs, but when he snapped loose, he said he was hitting the bump stop. Boys, he said it's not going to go away. We have to fix it. 4-tire change for Jr. Matt.
Mark Martin stopped short in his box to help his exit. He says, help me on my exit. I need a little more forward bite. I'm great through the center, Steve.
Pat, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the 18 of Kyle Busch, very similar handling characteristics. They need more forward bite, both cars getting an air pressure adjustment.
Well, it was no contest that time. The 11 really won the battle off pit road, but you see right there, that 18 group, Steve Addington, they won the battle against Mark Martin. Tony Gibson off pit road. They'll take over the second spot.
That accident happened just in front of the race leader. Watch the 11, Denny Hamlin, get through here.
Whoa, in a cloud of smoke. Holy cow.
Looked like to me another big break for Jimmy Johnson, though. He was about to go a lap down.
Caution just after halfway in Richmond.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by the new AT&T, your world delivered. By the people who make one-touch products, more power to you. By the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Green flag, we just restarted here in Richmond, 212 laps in. During that caution flag, A.J. Allmendinger stayed out when the rest of the lead lap cars pitted. He's trying to get back in the top 35 of owner points, so he needed that 5-point bonus. And that spoils Denny Hamlin's no-hitter. He had led every single lap so far.
Looking here at Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, he has moved up to the top 12 now. He's in the 12th position.
Let's go back to that caution flag. We did not have a camera on Regan Smith, but we had Fox 3D, Daryl, to help show us what happened down the front stretch to get all this party started.
Yeah, this was kind of incidental here. I mean, I don't think anything really intentional took place right here, but apparently Regan he didn't agree with what Allmendinger did, and he just drove over here into turn 2 and just said, okay, buddy, you want to play like that? Try this.
And the thing about it, Allmendinger's still on the lead lap. Regan Smith's 1 lap down in the 01 car.
Allmendinger restarted last on the lead lap after a penalty for non-compliant refueling during that caution flag.
Yeah, AJ's having a great run. I mean, the car's good.
The free pass on that caution went to David Gilliland in the 38.
I got a feeling that's where the disagreement came from. I'm not a lap down, you are. Why are you racing me?
You know, Mike, you talked about laps led situation. Denny Hamlin, of course, now with having his 4 consecutive top 5 finishes, he comes in here 4th in the points. And what he's done now, he not only got his 5 points for leading a lap, he's already locked up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. No one can do that because now he's led 214 of 215 laps.
Look at this traffic jam
here. Well, we've got cars that are lapped down like the 96 and the 10. Then we've got Greg Biffle in the 16, Tony Stewart in the 20 battling for 9th position.
And nobody gives. I mean, nobody gives up. Nobody says, go ahead, you're faster than I am. They race hard, man, all night long here. That's what the drivers like about this place.
Well, we're past halfway, Daryl, and you said after halfway, the give and take meter swings all the way to take.
1 glove off.
Right.
1 glove to go.
Let's get down to pit road, check with Dick Berggren.
Jeff Gordon started this race in the 43rd position, dead last. He has worked his way all the way up to 12th, and he's gained all those positions through a combination of things. They've had terrific pit stops, they've made excellent adjustments on the car, and Gordon has driven it extremely well. But just after that last pit stop, crew chief Steve Letarte came off the box and went to each and every crew member that has worked on that car, everybody going over the wall, everybody that's here in the general pit area, and patted them all on the back. He also got on the radio and told Jeff Gordon he is doing a great job.
Menard tied up with the 83 of Brian Vickers, and that one took 2 laps to unfold.
Yeah, Vickers actually got in trouble down here in 3 and 4.
Come on.
He got stuff all over his tires. He goes down into turn 1. The car won't turn. They come together off turn 2.
Vickers was not at the same speed as everybody else, and when that funneled down coming out of turn number 2, there just wasn't room for everybody side by side.
If you watch, he goes into turn 3 over here. They're 3 wide. It's Michael and a 48 car. He gets up into the loose stuff here, picks up all that rubber and debris on his tires. You see it flying around. Now he goes down into turn 1, 3 wide again. I'm sure he's probably having a little difficulty with the tires.
I mean, all three of those cars, their car was going to the outside, and it just ran out of racetrack over there.
Paul Menard had nowhere to go. He was being forced up, and Vickers was there. There's Gilliland, gets into Menard a little.
And it's on from there.
Somebody's bad news is always somebody's good news, and that somebody is Reed Sorensen, who gets the free pass.
Glad to have you with us from Richmond. NASCAR on Fox. Denny Hamlin leading under caution. And time for an AT&T race break. And a quick recap. Denny Hamlin dominating. He's led all but one lap here. He lapped Jeff Gordon early. Remember, Denny, the pole sitter. Gordon starting at the back of the pack. Some pit problems. Casey Kane lost a 3-spot location here. And then Tony Stewart. Jason Lee up on the, his name is not Earl. He lost a couple of spots on that pit maneuver. In the meantime, Gordon did get his lap back when Juan Pablo Montoya had the spin out. Steve Letarte, his crew chief, cheering him on and getting Jeff Gordon back in it. Right now, Jeff Gordon currently running 12th. And this AT&T race break, you can get an exclusive look inside the world of Richard Childress Racing. Jeff Burton in the 31 Chevrolet because of AT&T. Check out your cellular video on your AT&T handset. You can access all the inside RCR content. Let's talk about in the pre-race show. Hey, we mentioned Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr., big names who have yet to win a race this year.
Well, the thing is right now, you've already seen how bad Jeff Gordon and Steve Letarte want to get back into this race. They've done an excellent job so far. Ill-handling race car, but they never quit. Now they've got themselves in a position where they can now do something about it, but you've got to do something about Denny Hamlin, and I think his teammate is getting ready to take him to task.
Tony Stewart 10th, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 5th. Carl Edwards celebrating that new contract extension, steadily working his way up to 6th.
He's making his way up to 6th, but Dale Earnhardt Jr., a guy who knows how to win here, he's also hanging right around there, Chris, and as we get closer to the end, I believe all these guys, plus a guy named Mark Martin, he's not out of it yet either. He's been there in the top 5 all night long.
It's been 18 races since a driver has won from the pole. Denny Hamlin trying to change that. Mike, Larry, Darrell, they're getting ready to go green.
Thanks, Chris. Denny Hamlin is making his 5th Cup Series start at Richmond. He has led every time at least 12 laps. He's never started worse than 7th here, and he has only one finish here out of the top 10. He's not yet won at his home racetrack. Ready to go green with our clear to drive restart. Hamlin, Busch, Martin, Truex, Earnhardt, the front 5.
You just feel that advantage at the 11 car head. Look at the 18 up on the outside there. You just feel that advantage kind of slipping away a little bit at a time. Not that he's getting any worse. Everybody else is getting better.
Boy, Kyle Busch took it slideways off turn 2 trying to get the lead.
I think Kyle Busch in the 18 car knows if he's going to get the lead from Denny Hamlin, he better do it, and he better do it quick after a restart.
Tell you what, when you've led as much as Denny has, you get real comfortable with your car, and you're afraid to make any changes to it. Sometimes that bites you.
We do need to mention it had only been 9 laps since that last caution. The top 10 cars stayed out. We had 12 cars at the back from Casey Kane on back that actually came to pit road for 4 more Goodyear tires and full of Sunoco race fuel.
The front 2 have settled down just a little bit now. Hamlin in what could be a comfortable lead. 4 cars out front, Steve.
Mike, I just wanted to add to what Darrell Waltrip just said when Denny Hamlin came to pit road the last time. He said, "You're making me better in the center, but let's keep working on it. I don't want to get complacent because everybody else is going to get better."
And that's exactly right. I mean, that's the dilemma. It's a great problem to have, but it can't be a problem.
Turn 2, sorry, they all stacked up right there. Sorry, Larry. One car, Kurt Busch, slow off the corner.
We got
spin,
problems.
crash, turn 3.
Trouble. And they just keep stacking in there. What turned into one car problem over in turn 2 ended up with all these cars tore up in turn 3.
And I tell you, the luckiest guy I ever saw, he's just rolling out of there now, is the 31 car. He got into that, but he didn't get very much damage. So he came through our point leader. He's got more than I thought he had. In the 48, he got whacked up pretty good.
The field bottlenecked coming out of turn number 2. And piled up 800 feet later into turn 3.
I've been expecting this just by the way these guys have been racing each other 3 wide a lot tonight, more than I've ever seen here.
Blaney, Yaley, and Edwards.
And I believe that just knocked Yaley up in the outside wall, and then they started stacking up behind. You see Compartier in the 10 car hard on the inside wall, and it was on from there.
It was Carpentier's teammate, Elliott Sadler, couldn't check up quick enough, got in the back of Patrick.
Boy, did you see Ryan Newman just go, all those guys going by on the apron, nobody really got slowed down very much.
And Matt Kurt Busch in the 2 took a hard shot.
That was a hard lick on that inside wall by that 10 car.
Now Patrick Carpentier has climbed out of his car. He's okay.
Look at that. They just keep pounding. At 17, he's torn up big time. Kurt
Busch has climbed out of his car. He's okay. And the red flag is out.
Actually, the 22, I think the 22 pushed.
Yellow is out. Yellow is.
The 96 over into the 99, actually. Burton does an awfully nice job here, guys. Watch this. He gets a little damage there. He gets spun, but not enough that I think it's going to put him out of the race.
I think Digger got singed a little on this one.
Uh-oh. Look out, Digger. Look out, Digger. Look out. Oh. Man.
He went back in the zone just in the nick of time.
I know I'm laughing because all 3 of us jumped back when that happened.
How many lives does a gopher have? Cats have 9. I don't know how many gophers have.
Now we said Kurt Busch took quite a hit. Locked it up trying to miss Carpentier. Couldn't.
Oh, man.
Nowhere for Kenseth to go in the 17.
Sauter in the 70. And Gilliland. Folks, crank it up and give a listen to this.
Gosh.
And you know, right before this caution, I was just about to say that we were 228 laps into this race, now 230, and all 43 cars were still out there. Obviously, that's not the case now. Now, again, we're under red flag conditions. You see the 48 cars sitting on pit road, the drivers evaluating it, the crew members evaluating the situation under red flag, but per the NASCAR rule book, you cannot work on the car.
Yeah, they're on freeze now. All those guys standing around at 48, they're frozen.
But, you know, honestly, Darrell, for those guys, a red flag is a good thing. It gives you an opportunity to really survey the damage and make a good game plan.
Yep, it does. Oh, there's 0 there. She's all crashed.
The race changed in an instant. With NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, follow the race instantly. When Dave Blaney got into J.J. Yaley, getting him up into the path of Carl Edwards, they bumped Yaley to the wall, and everything stacked up behind them. Carpentier got turned, and then the field piled in. That's what's put us under the red flag at Richmond after 230 laps.
Boy, Carl was lucky he didn't get a lot of damage there.
And what really magnified this whole situation, it was only 2 to 3 laps after restart, and it happened about midway in the pack. So half the field was coming at this whole situation.
That's tonight's Sprint Mobile monster moment. You have got a feel for Carpentier. He had a fantastic qualifying effort, started 4th, had a good race going, was staying on the lead lap for most of the night, and then a hard hit into the inside barrier.
There you see all the cars that were involved in this accident. It was at least that many, and some more with slight damage.
Oh boy, this racetrack has been known for excitement over the years and for some fantastic finishes. Time for a look back, brought to you by Ford. Drive One. Spring 1992. Bill Elliott in Junior Johnson's number 11 Ford battling Alan Kulwicki. In the Hooters Ford, that was the finish. Elliott got the win by 18 inches. Fast forward to Atlanta in November the same season. Kulwicki gets his revenge and beats Elliott for the championship. Ford, Drive One. Red flag at night, Racer's Delight, but red flag at Richmond. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, I think old Digger's probably calling DWStore.com, giving me a T-shirt right now. What do you think?
I would say so.
I'm waiting for the stuffed Digger, the plush.
Oh, listen, Digger is going to have some nice stuff that you're going to be able to get if he can just make it through tonight.
You know, we didn't plan to sell T-shirts. This whole Digger thing, folks, it just kind of evolved.
No, we had a few shirts made, and people said, where can we get one? So, you know, with FoxSports.com and DW Store, you can get all you want.
We've had a lot of fun with Digger. We had a contest to name him. I think we had another contest for who provided the voice of Digger.
Did we do that?
I don't know.
Who is that? Is that David Hill down there doing all that hollering?
All I know
That's
is that this will only mean
basis.
something to us. There's a man named Van Colley that's a happy man, and he can go to bed now.
That's right.
He can sell some T-shirts. You know, we don't get a chance to talk to crew chiefs during the race here at Richmond. It's just too darn loud. But how about now? Steve.
Mike with Mike Ford, crew chief for Denny Hamlin. And Mike, just before the caution came out, I had reported that Denny has told you, hey, you're making the car better, but let's not get complacent. Let's keep working on it.
Yeah, what he was talking about is, you know, last night the track kept tightening up in the center, and he's been pretty good in the center, but you know, we know we're going to have to continue to free that up and still keep drive off, which we started the race and we're leading strictly because we had track position. You know, the car wasn't very good, and we've made a couple of adjustments in that last run. We were starting to really make some gains. We've had the track position all night, and that's critical here in Richmond. But you know, we've been in these situations where we've led all the laps and fallen short at the end. There's still 170 laps to go, and we're going to keep working on it. You know, Denny can obviously win this race. We've got a good race car. You know, we can't be complacent, but we can't be stupid either. We can't just work on it to work on it. So if the car gets close, the changes will become minimal, and they did the last run.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Their last four finishes: the win at Martinsville, 5th in Texas, 3rd at Phoenix, 3rd at Talladega. They have climbed from 15th to 4th in the Sprint Cup standings.
Well, let's see if somebody over there on the back straightaway can tell us what happened. Hey, Kyle, it's DW. You got a copy, buddy?
I got you. You got me?
Yeah, 10-4. Taking a little break here, a little past halfway. How's the car, and can you do anything with your teammate there, brother?
Car's not bad. We made some air pressure adjustments tonight. I think a wedge adjustment as well, too, to get it a little bit better. Wasn't quite turning the center the way I wanted it to, and I was a little loose leaving. So we've worked on both those issues, and we've been getting a little bit better. But, man, that 11 is pretty stout. I don't know if we've got anything for him. I'm trying to get on his outside here on a restart so I can at least try to lead a lap and see if we can't get 5 points. But, you know, if that's not the case, that FedEx car is really strong.
Yeah, he is. He's been about a 10th quicker than most everybody out there tonight. Did you see what happened there going into 3? Were you able to tell what happened over there?
Yeah, luckily to my advantage, I got a Nextel Vision screen or Sprint Vision screen, however you want to call it over here. So it looked as though the 96 was barely on the outside of the 22, and you know, the 22 kind of moved up off the corner a little bit, and the 99 had a run on the 96, and when the 22 and the 96 made contact, then that got the 96 out of the throttle, and then the 99 just had nowhere to go and tapped him, sent him into fence, and then I think the 10 was on his inside, sent him to the inside fence, and so the wreck was on pretty much, man. It was a big one over there. It looked like something from Talladega.
Yeah, 10-4. You know, I was wondering about something. You raced Thursday night, you raced last night, and here you are tonight. How are you feeling? How do you train to be able to run all these races?
Well, I've got a great trainer who works with me every day that I'm home in North Carolina, so that helps out a lot. Fitness training, being able to do cardio, being able to do weights and stuff like that. So I feel pretty good. I'm not bad in here right now. It's my helmet cooler, man. This thing is blowing my eyeballs back in my head. It's blowing so much cold air, so I'm happy with that. And seat cooler's good, so everything's going well. I got to get out of here tonight. Tomorrow we're going up to Madison, Wisconsin. We're going to run the NOS Energy Drink Super Late model tomorrow, so we're going to have some fun up there too.
Buddy, the way you've been running and winning, I'd look for somewhere to race every day. You're doing a good job, man. Keep it up.
I appreciate it, bud. Thank you.
Kyle Busch is second to his teammate Denny Hamlin, with Mark Martin, Martin Truex, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Kevin Harvick. all in Chevys, 3rd through 6th behind the 2 leading Toyotas. Carl Edwards 7th, Clint Boyer 8th. Patrick Carpentier, Kurt Busch, and Johnny Sauter have been checked and released at the Infield Care Center after a big pileup on the back straightaway. Now, defending series champ Jimmy Johnson finds himself in 18th here at the red flag, just 30 laps past halfway. Let's go to Matt Yoakum in Jimmy's pit.
Mike, moments ago, Chad Canals was down off the pit box surveying the damage with his car chief, Ron Malik, and the rest of the Lowe's crew members. So looking at things, how bad is it?
It's pretty damn bad. I'll be honest with you. You know, it's unfortunate. We haven't been as fast as we wanted to be the whole time we unloaded here. We came real close to the way we were last year, and just with this tire, it just hasn't worked for us. Some other people made the transition onto this tire a lot better, obviously. You know, when you go back there and you run in the back, that's the kind of things that happen. You know, it's unfortunate, but the Lowe's team we got here, you know, these guys do everything they can to get us back out there and try to get those valuable points. Obviously, all this is just a prelude to the chase, and that's what we've got to try to do.
Real quick, what are you going to do to fix this to try to get back up for points?
Well, first off, we got to cut a bunch of stuff off of it. We're going to try to remove the hood and some of the front fascia material, probably the right front corner of the splitter, and obviously get 4 new wheels and tires on it.
All right, thanks, Chad.
Yeah, man.
Krista?
Well, Matt, we're up on the pit box with Tony Eury Jr. and Dale Jr. Tony, the last thing I heard him say was, I can deal with tight, I can't deal with loose. What's going on with him in the race car right now?
Our car is loose in, and it's needs a little bit of forward bite, but the biggest thing is, you know, we're a little bit tight in the middle like you usually are here at Richmond, so we're just walking a fine line, and right there we got him a little too loose in, and so we're just making a couple more adjustments. You know, really ain't that far off from where we started the race, so we're just doing little baby steps.
Baby steps for the 88. Mike?
Thanks, Krista. Drivers being released from the care center, and we'll check with Dick Berggren, who's down there.
Well, Patrick Carpentier has come out of the care center. He's okay, but gee, you had such a great start to the night, qualified in the 4th position, but it was wild. What was it like inside the car?
Yeah, it was. You know, I don't know. I saw the guys up front. They hit each other, saw the smoke starting to come up, and I was trying to avoid it, go to the inside wall, and I got hit from behind, I think, spun around, hit the inside wall, and almost accelerated and got back into turn 3 and hit some cars, and then got hit. There were a lot of smokes. I couldn't see nothing. I just had my hands off the steering wheel, but that carbon fiber seat is pretty good, actually, because I got hit pretty hard, and everything's okay. So too bad for life luck, but we had a good start at least the night. You know, I just want to finish, get some points, but man, these wrecks happen fast on a short track like that, or a big track.
Indeed, and when they start, a lot of stuff happens.
Well, that's the problem with its back straightaway, is relatively narrow, and when one car gets sideways, things pile up in a hurry. We'll show you again the cars involved in the crash that has put us under the red flag here, 230 laps into this 400-lap race. Some of these cars can be repaired. Now, this could be of consequence to point leader Jeff Burton, who could lose the point lead to Kyle Busch this evening. Now, Jeff Hammond's down at our Ford Fusion cutaway car and can tell us about some of the things these teams will do when we go to the yellow flag to get back in this race.
Well, Mike, first thing we want to do, we want to take a quick look at the Ford 360 car again. Look at the Dow Automotive, you know, safety absorbing foam is in the right side of these cars. A lot of guys were running in each other. Patrick Carpentier talked about he got hit several times, but you see him walking away. Fast racetrack, but this new car, it really absorbs a lot of energy after being basically bounced around like a billiard ball. So that's the good thing about this new car. And the repairs that are going to have to happen, we already heard what they said. Some of the guys that got radiator damages, they're going to have to take and change the radiator. They'll work on the front fascia. They're going to have to cut some of this front board away as far as that nose is concerned on the 48. Get all this stuff clearanced up. So you're going to see zits wheels and sawzalls is going to be the primary deal, especially the big hammers trying to beat the fenders out, Mike, to get everything geared up for that. One other thing I want to go to, we've been talking about brakes a lot during the course of this race and how hot they get. Again, you get an opportunity to see how big the brakes are on this car. One little demonstration I want to bring to you guys. I've been cooking up a couple ideas here. Take a quick look. I got a hot sheet here, 456 degrees inside this thing. So you can imagine what happens when this is a rotor. Imagine it being a rotor. Pour some water in this thing and it just all but sizzles. Hot enough. If you can imagine this, 1,000-degree rotor, you throw that hamburger in there, you can imagine how quick you could cook a hamburger on one of these rotors tonight. this is a big deal as far as using the brakes up here tonight. During this little red flag, I think it gives these guys a good time, cool the brakes down, kind of regroup a little bit, give their teams an opportunity to see exactly where they are to make a final stretch run toward the end of the day.
Jeff Hammond.
Yes, sir.
I like my medium rare, please.
Okay, I'll have it sent right up.
Flip that over and put a little cheese on it for me, bud.
We'll take care of you there, DW. No problem, my friend. I know you're a little bit hungry.
Right
there you go.
Iron Chef Hammond.
Hey, we got everything cooking down here at the Hollywood Hotel.
But I think the point here, remember one of our keys at the top of the race, and look how hot this flat tire is off the 96 car. He'll get rid of that thing in a hurry. But I think one of the points, the fact, remember one of our keys, it's about handling. You don't hear a lot about aero here. Now, I think that front splitter that Jeff was talking about, I think that's a key element. But you know what? You can take the hood off, cut part of the fenders away, because right now these guys are just trying to win the battle to get back out on the racetrack.
Kurt Busch almost made it through there, and then a late hit into a stopped race car. Dick Bergman's with him.
Yeah, he's out of the care center, into street close. What happened to you out there?
You know, it's just things happen so fast. You don't know where to go, and the 10 car was on the inside spinning around, and he ricocheted back up into the group of us, and I had my front brakes all locked up. You know, these cars are real easy to lock up the left front. They're really hard on the tire, and it seems like you're either blowing it out in the right front or you're locking it up in the left front. Just had nowhere to go. It was just a tough break for the Miller Lite Dodge. 2 DNFs in a row aren't helping.
Indeed. Such a good team, such a good driver. These guys need a break. They deserve a break, Mike.
And, Mike, just remember, on our telemetry earlier, 135 miles an hour down that back straightaway. These cars weigh 3,400 pounds, and you're trying to stop it in 100 or 2 feet.
Getting ready to restart this race. They'll run a few laps under caution, and everybody will come to pit road. And, Steve, some concern on the part of the 10th place car.
There he is, Mike, in the 20 pit of Tony Stewart. They have an alternator problem. They've just, or when the red flag came out, rather, they told Tony, turn off all non-essential items on that race car, and their voltage meter is down to about 8.5.
So will it restart, Steve? That's the question.
They think it is. They just told Tony they think they're all right, but I guess we're all going to find out together here shortly.
Yeah, and we've been talking about how much brake you use. I'm sure one of the things they've had to probably flip off and on are the blowers that help pump cool air to those brakes. You don't want to cut them off. It may be, Darrell, that with 170 laps to go, they may have to change that battery out.
And that's why it's hard on the battery here and the alternator, because you run blowers on the brakes, you run blowers on the rear end, you run blowers on the tires. Probably got about 6 of those great big blowers blowing all the time, plus the cool box.
I was going to say blowers on the driver. You know which ones get cut off first.
Oh, yeah. Cut that one off on the driver. He'll be all right.
170 laps to go when they refire them here. Next Saturday night, NASCAR on Fox goes under the lights to a completely different racing experience.
This track may be called too tough to tame. It may be too rough to claim.
The Darlington Strike.
Faster's not better here.
Walking on a razor blade.
A lady in black, be nice to my driver, buddies.
I can't believe that thing lasted. Unbelievable. Man, never give up.
It's going to be one wild ride on a Saturday night.
Darlington, South Carolina. One of NASCAR's original racetracks. Wow.
There's something that I am going to be at awe, and I want to see. A car going 200 mile an hour on the straightaway at Darlington.
Now, so much history there.
That's
so much speed now with the new repaving.
That is just physically not possible. I didn't think.
It sounds like it will be. We've been talking about game plans. You see the 42 car there of Juan Pablo Montoya, led by Jimmy Elledge, making that game plan to try to get that car back out on the racetrack. Right now, he's 1 lap down.
Tonight's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear for track-tested technology. Get there on Goodyear Innovation. Lights are on the pace car, so we're just about to fire engines. The red flag is for cleanup in turn number 3. So much damage and fluid and bits and pieces spread down there. It was safest to stop the cars, clean it up. You hear the jet dryers working over in that area. And just as soon as they are done, we'll fire them up. Well, let's go. And somebody's going to need a new wing.
While we just talked to some crew chiefs, I want to mention one of my old buddy crew chiefs that a lot of guys here would think a lot of and love a lot of Jake Elder, J.C. Elder. He's sick at home in the hospital, and I know he's probably watching the race tonight, along with his daughter Sandy and him. Jake, buddy, you were the all-time greatest. You made my career. You made Dale's, Terry Labonte's, a number of us guys. Get well, man. Get out of there.
He educated a lot of crew members. I know I got an education from him back in 1983.
He was a special man, Larry. I mean, he did so much for a lot of young drivers back in the day.
There's Bobby Labonte in the Speed Racer Petty number 43. And I wonder if he has the M on his helmet like Speed Racer does. I know he has it on the hood. And that's a very special. There's the music. The movie comes out next week. Everybody watched the cartoon growing up as a kid.
I wonder what does that M on the hood stand for? I've never understood what that was for.
I should never ask. It is an M. And the illustrator, the cartoonist who created Speed Racer, was a big fan of Japanese actor Toshiro Mifune. He was like the John Wayne of Japan. Starred in The Seven Samurai, which was remade here as The Magnificent Seven. Starred in a movie that was remade here as Fistful of Dollars with Clint Eastwood. And he was Jim Garner's team owner in the movie Grand Prix. And the illustrator was a great fan of Mifune and wanted to honor him, so he's on the hood of Speed Racer's car. Here's our animation of Speed Racer.
M looks the same. In case you missed our pre-race show, of course, Bobby Labonte has been in the news as far as his future in Sprint Cup Series racing. I think several weeks ago, Petty Enterprises offered him a lifetime contract. Bobby didn't necessarily jump on it. It was reported earlier today that Bobby had signed that contract, but he told Jeff Hammond, that Jeff mentioned in the pre-race, unless it comes out of my mouth, it's probably not true just yet.
But you know, Mike Joy scares me. I watch him on Barrett Jackson, and I'm telling you, he wears those poor guys' cars out. But I never knew he knew so much about so much trivia in my life.
And my wife says I spend too much time on the internet, and she's probably right. It was interesting.
Now we're watching Tony Stewart here. It looks like that car did crank. Steve Burns was talking about it was way down on voltage. So now the question will be, will they bring that car to pit road in an attempt maybe to change the battery on that 20
And
car?
I'm sure Norm Miller is breathing a sigh of relief, because, you know, that's interstate batteries, and I'm pretty sure Tony may have an interstate battery in his car.
We need to make note, it's not really a battery problem, it's an alternator problem. The battery is a sacrificial lamb.
Oh yeah, but if you got a battery in there that's a good one, she'll stay up for a while.
Time to pick our Allstate Good Hands driver of the night. Who do you think that should be?
Pick one.
How about pick two
one of those two on the screen?
Let's make it an 11.
Okay.
Let's make it an 11. It's going to be Denny Hamlin. Remember the wreck we had back on lap 221. Watch the 11 go through the smoke, cold trickle style, and emerge with the lead.
That's big right there. When you're all up in that ball of smoke, and you see the 6 car, I didn't realize, I knew somebody got some damage. 6, David Reagan got quite a bit of damage in that little deal there, the 38.
So Denny is our Allstate Good Hands driver tonight. Allstate, are you in good hands?
He hit the 38, the 6 did.
Now, if you remember 2 cautions ago, back on lap 206, all of our lead lap cars came to pit road. The last caution, we had about 12 cars that came to pit road, about 10 that stayed out. One that has come to pit road now that I think actually that was in the top 10 got a little bit of damage. Carl Edwards in that 99 car. What that is, that's called bear bond that they're putting on that left front. When you put it there, it's not going to move. Just trying to keep that left front fender in place.
All right, before they open pit road, let's check back with Jeff Hammond.
Mike, right quick, I want to show where the alternator is on this 20 car, located approximately here. This is what charges the battery. But in case they wind up having a problem, here's those blowers that Larry Mack and Darrell been talking about. They'll come back here. They'll take off the battery cover off that left rear tire. They'll jerk it loose just like that. They'll have another one standing by, slip it right back up in there, hook it back up. He'll have a brand new battery, should be able to continue and finish this race, even though he will give up a lot of valuable spots by coming down pit road and doing that.
Yeah, this is the 20 pitch. You can see the battery there, and everything has to happen perfect, even under a caution lap, to get that battery changed without going a lap down. Now pit road is open, so we'll see if we have any takers that comes to pit road. Looks like Kevin Harvick in the 29, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. So a lot of cars, Krista, that didn't pit the last caution, here they are, and here comes the 20 car.
And that does include Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's talking about his car still bouncing racing a little bit. In fact, he said, I just can't go. It's going to be 4 tires. Also, a track bar adjustment was the call for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Steve?
And Mike, Tony Stewart brings the number 20 onto pit road. You saw the shot of the battery being charged, but looks like now just 4 tires for Tony Stewart. Jeff Hammond talked about, now it looks like they are not going to change that battery, Mike.
Stewart's away.
If the car cranked, I mean, the battery's got to be pretty good if it'll crank.
And it would have been tough because the pace car was already going into turn 3 when they finished that pit stop.
So we're back underway at lap 233 in the Crown Royal presents the Dan Lowry 400.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Chevy, the most wins in NASCAR history. That's an American revolution.
Green flag, 237 laps in, 163 to go. And Denny Hamlin, who's led all but one caution flag lap tonight, steps out with the lead ahead of teammate Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Martin Truex, and Greg Biffle after a long red flag for a 10-car pileup.
I think Denny must have heard Kyle say, I'm going to try to get up on the outside of him on that restart. He took off, man. He shot out like a cannon.
Yeah, we have 19 cars on the lead lap. We have 1 car officially out, Kurt Busch in the 2 car, and we have 5 or 6 cars in the garage area trying to get back out on the racetrack. See Dale Earnhardt Jr. there in the 88 car, one of the cars that came to pit road under that last caution to get 4 tires.
I'll tell you what, Larry, these guys are still trying to wreck again.
A lot of smoke from Robbie Gordon locking it up into turn 1.
Locking them up, going down in the corner, and 3 wide again.
Jamie Max into the top 10. He got the free pass back on lap 129 in the 26 and has fought his way back into contention, as has Jeff Gordon, who just made the pass on Dale Earnhardt Jr. to move into 7th place.
That little red flag over there, it's not a bad thing. Halfway through the race, stop, catch your breath, regroup, get you a big old drink of cold something or another, and have at it.
How about Jeff Gordon? Started the weekend, the car was dog meat. He did not like that car at all. They qualified the worst he has ever started at Richmond, but they've kept working on it, made that car better and better. Now it's a top 10 car.
Yeah, definitely, they got enough cautions in the beginning that they were able to make the right adjustments. Thing I was impressed the most, and I think it's been well reported, is what a cheerleader Steve Letarte was, the crew chief, not only to Jeff Gordon, but to that pit crew and the guys working on this car.
Yeah, that little accident back there really breathed a lot of life into some of these guys that were, you know, outside the top 10. But a lot of good cars got taken out over there.
Top 10, he just passed Casey Kane to move into the top 5.
And moving forward, here he goes by the 19 car.
That's Elliott Sadler right now, who's actually 1 lap down in the 19. Now Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, he was one of the cars that elected to come to pit road and get 4 fresh tires, and I think he's reaping the benefits right now, working on McMurray in the 26 and Biffle in the 16.
After last night, I'd say he'll come to pit road every time there's a caution. What's he saying, Matt?
And that was the deal, DW. Last night, it was a no-win situation. Tonight, he hit pit road, still trying to make some progress on this race car. His biggest issue, trying to get some forward bite on exit. And meanwhile, the guy up front, Mark Martin, he was going to do what the guy in front of him did, and that was stay out.
Well, guys, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking on this race. The clock is ticking with opportunities to make adjustments on this race car as well.
Well, you know, one thing that I got, the 11 car is amazing. You think about this is an impound race. So whatever they did to that car to qualify on the pole, well, it had to be good for the race as well. This car has been flawless all night long.
And not to mention the practice everyone got, including the 11 car, was 2 hours in the middle of the day.
One concern we have, when we started this race, there was a stiff breeze blowing from out of the south, and there's a rain system that's been building down south of Petersburg and is on the way. This afternoon, we thought it wouldn't get here till about 2 a.m., but that storm is gaining momentum, and it's coming. Don't know how soon, but you just can't plan for this to be a 400-lap race because it might not go the distance.
You got to run now like every lap is the last lap, because it's official now, because we are past the halfway point.
We're told that storm is about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes away.
Perfect.
The perfect storm?
The perfect storm. The race will end. We'll be in Victory Circle. It'll wash all the champagne off of you.
Kind of like last week.
It's perfect. Love it when a plan comes together.
Kevin Harvick in the 29. We talked about him a second ago. We're riding with Tony Stewart in the 20. These guys right now working their way just back inside the top 10. You know, just in front of this car is right here, a car that we've not really had a lot of time to talk about tonight. Our Daytona 500 winner Ryan Newman in that 12 car had a great finish at Talladega. Since Daytona, they really hadn't accomplished a whole lot, but now it looks like they're maybe getting back on track with that 12 car.
Yeah, he's sitting there in a nice spot.
Elliott Sadler in the 19 threatens to knock the wall down at both ends of the speedway every lap. He's up there in that Michael Waltrip groove. There is Michael in the 55. And they're both running as close to the barrier as you can get.
As I watch these cars here tonight, I can only think about next weekend, next Saturday night at Darlington, because there you literally rub the wall. This car doesn't seem to be affected by getting up against the wall and rubbing against it. Just keeps on going. It doesn't hurt it that much.
And we'll try to keep you updated on those cars that were involved in that accident under the last caution as they go back out on the racetrack. Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 is back out there 19 laps down. Remember, came in here 12th in the Sprint Cup Series points.
And right now, he would leave here 15th. Carl Edwards had some damage in that one. Most of the cars involved in that crash were lead lap cars. So it has really changed the complexion of this race from about 10th on back.
Yeah, Burton had a lot of damage, but he's going pretty good. And here's Mark Martin, who's saying, okay, boys, it's getting a little late in the evening here. Might be time for me to show you I've been saving a little something, which wouldn't surprise me one bit.
And as well as that car and that team performed at Phoenix about 3 weeks ago, not surprised to see them performing just as well. Started this race on the outside the front row. They pretty much have been in the top 3 all night long.
I can't help it. I got to say this.
Good job, old man. Keep it rolling.
Good job, old man.
Talking to Mark Martin.
That 18 car, it's so reminiscent of Earnhardt. You'd pass him, and then you'd look back in your mirror and you'd say, why did I do that?
Now he's going to aggravate
Now he's going to aggravate the fire out of me.
Steve?
Mike, the report from Kyle Busch, he says the drive off the corner is okay, but I've gotten tight in the center. I just can't keep up right now.
And when you're tight in the center and the car's not turning, it hurts the exit because you have to slow it down so much to get it to turn in the middle.
Good race right here, Larry. 9th place. Ryan Newman in the 12, Harvick, the 29, and Tony Stewart. All racing for position, 9th, 10th, 11th.
And that was a little bit of give and take there on Kevin Harvick's part. We've seen so many cars get in trouble off turn 2 because the cars lunged to the wall. Harvick rolled out a little bit, and he went ahead and let Newman have the position.
And wonder if these two guys are going to work together tonight, because they didn't seem to work together too well last week. But I tell you, Dale Jr. got a little bit better car, but you've got to, again, tip your hat to that 24 bunch. This is a pass for 5th place.
Jeff Gordon started this race last. For him to be in the top 5, 250 laps in, is quite an accomplishment.
And the reason he had to start last, as you said, he qualified well back there, but when they went to crank the car, it wouldn't crank. They had to work on the ignition and the starter, and per the impound rule, that's an unapproved adjustment. They had to go to the rear of the field.
.258 laps complete, 142 to go. Denny Hamlin out in front for almost this entire race. A.J. Allmendinger and Michael McDowell crashed in turn 4 to bring out the race's 7th caution. Lead lap cars are on pit road, completing their stops.
It's just no contest, though, with that 11 car. They're having solid stops. Mike Ford and that group, they have that last pit box leaving, and they've won every battle off pit road.
Let's show you how the 7th caution flag of the night occurred.
A.J. Allmendinger, the 84 car, Michael McDowell in the 00 car. Hard contact by both cars in the outside wall.
Looked like there was a disagreement on space there. Ooh, looked like the 84 just really got in underneath the 00 way too hard. Couldn't stay off of him and wrecked them both.
Now the deck lids are tethered by those straps so they don't fly off, and that's a good thing.
Gives you wings. He's going to need one.
He's dragging that wing right now.
He's going to need to buy a wing. But it all comes back to the garage area where Allmendinger's car sits, and pit road is where McDowell has ended up. So let's recap what the leaders. Let's recap what everybody did under this caution flag, beginning with Dick Bergman.
Well, Jeff Gordon came in the 6th position, picked up 1 spot on pit road, Mike. The car was loose in, tight in the middle, and loose out. They did have the wrench in the back window for the 2nd time in a row. Krista.
Well, if you remember, Dick, on the last stop, Dale Jr. said his car was too loose. The adjustment fixed that. He said the free condition was fixed, but he still needed to turn better in the center, so they went with a track bar adjustment. Half a round, that's all they needed. Dale Jr. thinks he's going to be just fine. Matt?
Mark Martin, who almost took home that win at Phoenix, his car, same car he had at Phoenix. He didn't want any adjustments the last stop. He feels like the track is starting to change a little bit. He was battling too free on exit. He feels like the track has changed. No changes for the 8. Steve?
Well, Matt, Denny Hamlin says the car is turning really well in the center of the corner. He said, help my forward bite. Help me get a little bit off the corner. Now, how's this for precise? They took 0.3 of a pound of air out of that left rear tire.
Wow. A lot of crowd in the Hamlin pits, including his folks, Big Denny and Mary Lou, his mom. I saw them coming down from the suite last night that Denny had rented for them. He won last night's race, and boy, that was an ecstatic bunch. And there's Big Denny watching his son lead all but 1 lap of this race so far.
If you had hawked everything you had to get your son to where he is, you'd be sitting up on that pit box too, getting a return on your investment.
Yeah, they all but went into bankruptcy to get Denny Hamlin's career really up and going.
Ready for our clear to drive restart. Get clear, get back to feeling like yourself again. We will restart with 134 laps to go. That means 1 more pit stop in the offing and a lot of racing. Here we go.
A little bit of an interesting situation. The 44 and the 55, Michael and David there, they stayed out. They're on the tail end of the lead lap, trying to get it back to Hardway if they get a quick caution here.
It'd have to be a real quick caution, I think.
Whoops. Whoops, it didn't take but a half a lap.
But now they will battle each other to be the first car a lap down to get the free pass should we get the caution flag out.
They've got to battle each other and Dave Blaney.
Yeah, Blaney's right there too.
And David Reagan.
Yikes.
You ready?
I'm ready. But what you got to do, grab those sound knobs and just twist them as far right. Let's crank it up.
Denny Hamlin, runaway leader as they scrap for the first car 1 lap down position. Dave Blaney has that one. Then it's Mark Martin, Dale Jr., Clint Boyer in there. But Hamlin and Busch, once again, the class of the field.
But you just mentioned Clint Boyer in that 07 car as Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's wanting to take that position away from the car that he's won here at Richmond before. The 8 car, he'll take that position away. He'll move into 3rd. You mentioned Clint Boyer, who's right there inside the top 5 and 5th. He just ran the fastest lap that he's run so far in this race.
Krista.
That's right, Larry. And before the caution came out, his spotter, changes. I can top his 3/10. Clint Boyer made a 2/10 of a pound adjustment on the left rear on that last stop.
And I know that's twice we've heard 2/10 and 3/10, but for every pound of air in this radial tire, it's like changing the spring rate of that tire about 15 to 20 pounds. So it's actually more of a change than you think.
Pump drafting's a little different here than it was last week at Talladega. Carl Edwards passing Jamie Mack for 14th place. Joe Nemechek right in there with them. And Robbie Gordon, they're both 3 laps down.
Carl is just kind of fighting his way back. Had a little damage there. He put that bear bond on the left front. I think they got the car fixed up pretty good now. It looks like he's able to pass some guys.
We need to mention Johnny Sauter and J.J. Yaley, the 70 and 96. They are now back out on the racetrack after being involved in that accident a while ago.
Car that's been in the garage the longest, Matt Kenseth, has not yet returned. He's going to drop to 20th in the points. Jeff Gordon there racing with Kevin Harvick, and that's for 8th place.
You know, you're talking about Matt Kenseth. I have kind of had a feeling he might be able to get himself back in the chase, but another bad night tonight, and now he's back to 20th. It's starting to look a little bleak for him.
Yeah, Darrell, he's almost a full race behind 12th right now.
And this is the 10th race. There's only 16 more to go till they cut off. So
interesting battle here. Tony Stewart at the back end of it with Jeff Gordon. Just ahead, the 29 of Harvick and the 9 of Casey Kane, the 7th place car.
You know, we talk about a 36 race season, but for the chase guys, if you're going to be in it, it's a 26 race season.
That's what Denny Hamlin told us yesterday. He said, we're trying to win races, but all we're worried about is just being in the top 12 in points when the checkered flag waves here at the end of the summer for those final 10 races.
Well, I don't know. Something would have to go wrong with that 11 car. They'd have to have a big malfunction in the pit on that one more stop they're probably going to have to make. Nobody's in the same league with this cat tonight.
Your home track, Darrell, was Nashville, and by extension, when Nashville fell off the schedule, Bristol, Tennessee. Was there anywhere you went that you were more pumped up to win than one of your home tracks?
No, you're so comfortable. You know, you didn't have to worry about going into a restaurant and eating dinner. You didn't have to worry about sleeping in an uncomfortable bed. Your family was there. Your friends were there. It was like going to the park to a picnic when you went to Nashville to race, and I'm sure he feels the same way.
That's what it's like for Denny Hamlin tonight.
And he's come so close here. In fact, in his rookie season, he finished 2nd to Dale Earnhardt Jr., and he said he could hear the crowd cheering. He said he'd like to think they were cheering for him, but he wasn't sure if it was for him or for Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning the race.
I think tonight he'll know for sure.
I think he will.
He certainly did last night. When Hamlin took the lead, the fans came to their feet, gave him a great ovation as he went to victory lane in the nationwide race. Well, Kevin Harvick has moved into 7th, past Casey Kane. Here comes Kane right back after him.
You know, Larry, just thinking about Coach Gibbs, how would you like to be sitting there with, you got Denny Hamlin, you got Kyle Busch, you got Joey Logano, who everybody in the racing world says he's the next big deal in our sport. You got another kid named Mark Davis. I mean, he's sitting there with a bunch of kids chomping at the bit, man, to go out and win these races.
You know what I'd do? I'd go on vacation with Norm Miller, too.
I think you'll see Joey Logano tomorrow if you go to Rockingham, North Carolina for Andy Hillenberg's ARCA race.
He's on the pole for that race.
I'm not surprised.
I've seen him race a couple of times out at the Toyota Shootout out in Urbandale. You and I were there. Kid's smart, good.
He's the NASCAR Camping World East Series champion.
And you saw Tony Stewart right now running in 9th. Tony's going to wave the green flag for that ARCA race. Greg Zeppedelli, Tony's crew chief, is going to drive the pace car to take that field to the green.
Hope Andy has a big crowd at Rockingham tomorrow.
That race will be covered on speed, too.
116 laps to go. Denny Hamlin has led all but one so far.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is delivered by UPS, the official express delivery company of NASCAR.
UPS delivers up-to-the-minute race info at foxsports.com. Keyword Fox Tracks. Big Brown won the Kentucky Derby. Now there's a name for a horse.
Sucker could run, I'm telling you that. From the 20, he came from the outside 20th spot. Was supposed to be like the worst starting spot in the world.
He must have watched your brother race, because he ran that whole race on the outside.
He did. I love the way that jockey rode him, though. He kind of pulled him back there a little bit going into turn 3. And he kicked him in gear and came off.
Yeah, because I'm not even sure he was even in the top 3 or 4 going off into 3.
Big old boy took the lead.
Speaking of running the outside, there's Michael Waltrip, 23rd place, 1 lap down. He and Elliott Sadler have been running that high line around the racetrack lap after lap.
I don't think he's got much right side left in that unit. He is rubbed on the wall all night long.
We've got 19 cars on the lead lap as we've got just a little over 100 laps to go. Right now, Dave Blaney in that 22 car, he would be the car in position to get the free pass, the first car a lap down.
The out of the race list has grown. In addition to Kurt Busch, Patrick Carpentier, Michael McDowell, and A.J. Allmendinger in the garage.
But Darrell mentioned Matt Kenseth in that 17 car fighting for every point they can get. They are back out on the racetrack. Right now it looks like the only car in the garage area trying to get back out is maybe David Gilliland in that 38 car.
Larry, when they wreck these cars, if they don't bend the chassis up, if they just mess up the body, do they have to go back to the R&D center to be recertified?
No, the only thing that has to be recertified by NASCAR is if you do structure damage, like the roll cage, the front snout, the rear clip. Body-wise, you do not.
3 cars fighting for 5th place. Clint Boyer in the 07, Martin Truex in the 1. In the midst of them is Dave Blaney, the first car a lap down. Now they're a good distance behind Mark Martin, and they stop running side by side as Tony Stewart begins to fill up their mirrors.
Watching the scoring monitor, now he's almost 3 seconds behind leader Denny Hamlin, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, at least lap times, seems to be keeping tempo with that 11 car. But as I mentioned, he's about 2 3/4 seconds behind Denny Hamlin, as we now will have 100 laps to go. We're 3/4 of the way through.
What I would be worried about if I was Denny Hamlin, he's coming up on a large group of cars that he's going to have to maneuver through.
That probably will not cooperate very well.
So that could allow 18 car of Kyle to close up, and even the 88 could get close, depending on how he works this traffic.
100 laps to go.
Getting down to it, boys.
And 1 more pit stop, Steve.
Mike, just listening to Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin's teammate, he says, I'm still a little tight in the center, but my exit is a lot better. I feel good right now.
And his lap times, in fact, if you look at about the top 5 right now, they're pretty close to each other.
Yeah, they seem like after a few laps, they just kind of all get locked in and run about the same speed. But that 11 car can just roll the center of the corner so much better than most of the other guys.
Denny Hamlin has now led 300 laps. Bill Elliott led 348 when he won here in 1992. The last driver to win and lead every lap was Jeff Burton at New Hampshire. Hamlin can't do that because A.J. Allmendinger stayed out a couple of laps under caution to pick up 5 bonus points.
Yeah, A.J. led 1 lap back on lap 207.
But Hamlin is on a tear. His last 4 races include a win, and they are all top 5 finishes.
But you know, when you look at what Joe Gibbs Racing, what they have done in Sprint Cup Series racing this year, of course they have the 3 wins, Denny at Martinsville, Kyle Busch at Atlanta, and at Talladega last week, and in the Nationwide Series. I mean, they've won the last 5 races and could have very well won every one of those races. So many people question Joe Gibbs Racing making the move from GM to Toyota. They knew they could go to Toyota and be the cat daddy in the alley. Chevrolet camp, no matter how many races or championships they won, they would always be the 3rd or 4th spoke in the wheel over there behind Hendrick, Childress, and DEI.
Well, you just got to tip your hat to them. And even taking Kyle Busch. I mean, people felt like that was a gamble, that he was going to come in and disrupt what they had going on there. So everything they did in the offseason was like they were charmed. It couldn't have worked out any better.
And the real challenge was not changing the cars over. It was a matter of a few decals, the nose and the tail section. Who gets the real award is Mark Conquest and those guys in the engine shop, because that was like starting from scratch almost.
Jeff Gordon seems to have picked up some front-end damage there, Dick.
Yeah, indeed he has, Mike. And one of the tricks that they've got here in the 24 pit is a still camera. And they took close-up pictures of the nose of that car so they could tell the mechanics exactly where the damage was. They are now in the process of getting the tape together so they can fix that damage on the next pit stop.
Well, you just think back to Darlington last year. He won the race down there, and remember his car for the last what, Larry? I don't 100 miles seemed like the latter part. It shot steam out of it the entire last 100 laps or so of that race. So if it starts to get hot, there's his camera he's talking about to take those pictures. Pretty ingenious idea, I might say.
And here's Denny Hamlin getting into traffic, and he gets a little nudge there from Sam Hornish.
But now he's going to get a little impatient, because if you look right behind Joe right there, Nemechek, the 18 car has caught up with him. So he's giving up that comfortable lead he had. Here comes Kyle off of the turn, closing in.
Now Rudeman and Hornish trying to keep from going 2 and 3 laps down respectively, and going to get the move over flag here.
Well, they should.
Now we're about halfway through this run. Remember, everyone was on pit road at lap 262. We're at lap 310. We are into what would be a one-stop race. If we stay green, about lap 345 to 355, we would see everyone come to pit road for what would be possibly their final pit stop.
Denny Hamlin's dad watching his son lead all but 1 lap so far.
Yep, and he's like any dad would be. He knows darn good and well it ain't over till it's over.
No,
you can have the best car, and you don't necessarily mean you're going to win.
Casey Mears has had a strong night. He's been a top 20 car all evening, currently 17th, battling Jamie Mack. And Reed Sorensen has rebounded nicely. He got caught up in one of those crashes, and Sorensen took advantage of a free pass, and he's been on the lead lap ever since in the 41.
You know, just looking at Denny Hamlin and looking at Denny Hamlin's dad as we're looking at Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, this is Denny Hamlin's 89th career start, and he only has 2 DNFs. I asked Denny Hamlin about that. I said, you evidently pride yourself in finishes races. He said, you dead-gum right, because when me and my dad were working on my race car, if I wrecked it, A, we were going to have to pay for it, and I was going to have to be the one to fix it. I prided myself on taking care of my equipment.
Guys that have started that way, own their own cars, kind of family operations, make great race car drivers.
86 laps to go in Richmond, Virginia, on the 3/4 mile. Kyle Busch now just a half a second back of the leader as McMurray draws alongside Casey Mears for 17th.
Car that seems to be fading now, and he's kind of been up and down all night, is Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. In fact, Jeff Gordon in the 24 just went by him for the 8th spot. So it's like they still do not have this 29 car where they need it, and they may only get one more chance to make it right.
Yeah, I really thought that at one point in the race this was going to be a car you have to contend with, but you can see right there that car is looking like it's pushy loose to me.
All the Childress cars came in here expecting to be contenders, but Jeff Burton got caught up in one of the crashes. They do have one car in the top 5. That's Clint Boyer. Richmond, capital of the Confederacy, all up and down Monument Row. There are reminders of the war between the states. Tonight on the 3/4 mile short track, it's the war between NASCAR's top teams. Joe Gibbs Racing, DEI, Hendrick Motorsports, all at the front of the pack.
Now you watch that 11. He's been eating the bottom up all night long, been down on that yellow line. Last couple laps, He moved up a little bit to see if he could make any time up a little higher. He knows the 18. He feels his presence. He feels him breathing down his neck. He's starting to search around a little bit to see if there's something better.
Now we've got 74 laps to go, and as I mentioned right before we go to break, we're about 20 to 25 laps away from what will be green flag stops. You know, we talked to Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch together yesterday on our trackside show on Speed, and I mentioned to both of them and had both of them comment on it, that when it was announced that Kyle Busch was going to go to Joe Gibbs Racing, I wasn't sure how that was going to work. But it dawned on me a few weeks ago what makes Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart good teammates. They're so much alike. You know what makes them alike? They cannot stand to run second. And Denny Hamlin said, no, it behooves me to run second to my teammate. And it all started at a Goodyear tire test in Atlanta in the fall. They each kept trying to be king of the hill at that tire test, but they respect each other at the same time.
Well, I tell you what Denny Hamlin's doing right now. He's overdriving his car. He's sailing that thing off in the corner. He sees the 18 back there now, and he's just driving in the corner too hard, and it's really hurting his lap time. It's hurting him as far as getting into the corner. He's overdriving it.
Darrell, when you've led every green flag lap this late in a race, do you really know how good your car is versus the competition? Because nobody's come up to test you.
Nobody really has, but you know what? They always told me when you're looking back, you're losing time, and I think he's starting to look back. And that 18, you see that smoke bowling off of it? That's the brakes, the tires, the steering wheel. He's got everything on it smoking right now.
But even though Mike Ford, Denny Hamlin, and the 11 team, they've had a ton of success with each other. This is their third full season. We have seen this happen before to this group, that they were dominant in a race, and whether it was mechanical woes or the handling go away, they didn't close the deal at the end of the night.
What I would be telling Denny right now is, dude, just float it down in there like you've been doing all night long. I think you'll be okay.
Dale Jr. is third. He is 2.4 seconds off the lead, and his lap times pretty much mirror Hamlin's at this point.
And I'll tell you the other thing I believe too. I believe that 18 really made a hard run at Denny to try to get his attention. Because right now it looks like they kind of equaled back out.
And you know, Mike, if it gets down to this green flag stop, it will be a lot of cat and mouse, because unlike at a speedway, you make a green flag stop here, you're going to go a couple laps down. But you don't want to be one of the last guys to come, because we've already documented how much fresh tires picks you up.
Yeah, that's the big thing right there, is coming to pit road first, and then a dreaded caution comes out.
Boy, Dale Jr. almost caught a piece of the wall coming out of 2 last time. Look at this.
We have seen him get loose off the corner several times, and we played some radio transmission during a commercial break a while ago. He said, I just don't have good drive off the corner. Don't hurt my turning, but I need to be tighter under acceleration.
But I think what we're seeing is a product of laps running out. Everybody's pushing a little harder and a little harder, and the car's going to get, you know, if it's got a problem, really going to amplify itself here late in the race. He just did it again.
Well, Chris and Jeff, the lead is tightening up. There's one pit stop to go. The vice kind of tightens as we get into these last 65 laps.
That's right, Mike. And as Darrell was just talking about, after these pit stops, right, should you get another caution, if you're the guy leading, then you have that other game to play, right? Do I come in for tires? Do I stay out?
Right. Well, the thing is right now, if I'm the crew chief, you have got to have a game plan for all these scenarios. When do I pit? If I'm leading, do I want to pit first, or I want to let the guy run a second pit before me? If I'm the guy leading, I'd like to see second place pit before me. I don't want to stay out any longer. We've already seen how you can pick up a lot of valuable time, but you can't beat yourself. That's the key thing right now. You got to realize, I'm leading this race. I'm Denny Hamlin. Don't get caught speeding coming on pit road. Don't make any mistakes getting off pit road. And oh, by the way, if I'm one of the crew members, I don't want to make the mistake that's going to cost us the race.
Well, the next pit stop, right, and maybe the final one with about 50 or 48 to go. So the pressure building, it's been a long night. Do they feel it if you're a member of the pit?
Absolutely. You know that it's coming down to you and what you know how to do. Doing it right is so important right now. Doing what you've trained to do. Being smooth, being precise. You've got to be ready for this mentally as well as physically.
Should a crew chief play out all the scenarios? Is he trying to ahead of time so it's easy to call on his folks?
If he hasn't got those game plans in place, realizing we can't call a timeout and do a do-over. He's going to get caught. He's going to make a mistake, and it will wind up costing him the race. Right now, a lot of pressure on Mike Ford because it's his race to lose.
And Denny Hamlin has led all but one lap, but of the top drivers in their teams, Kyle Busch behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mark Martin, Clint Boyer. What about the pit crews? How would you rank? Does anybody have an edge going in?
Right now, you can't take anything away from the 11 crew. They've been on top all night long, and you've got to believe they're going to be right there when it counts. But if I'm another team like Joe Gibbs' 18 car, you know what you can do against these guys. There's going to be a little mental game going on. Dale Earnhardt Jr., he needs to push the envelope maybe a little bit, getting on and off pit road so he can close some ground. There will be some guys gambling right now, and the ones who get caught are going to pay a huge price. But if they can get by with it, they may be able to close some ground and put pressure on this 11 car.
Toyota's running 1 and 2. Let's check in on the 18 car. Steve Burns has the latest. Steve?
Well, Chris, Kyle Busch just told his crew chief, Steve Addington, it's getting a little bit tighter from late center off. Mike?
Thanks, Steve. The top 2 teams, top 2 cars are teammates. Last week at Talladega, you'd insist on them pitting together so you could get back out on track and draft together. Here, that's not a consequence, Larry. But is there any advantage to pitting the 1-2 cars on the same lap or not, or a disadvantage?
Well, the only thing that's a disadvantage, if you let your teammate or one of the other cars, even Dale Earnhardt Jr., get in there and get those fresh tires, because probably the first few laps till you get yours, they're going to be beating you a half to 3/4 seconds a lap. When I look at the top 3, if one hits pit road, the other 2 better be right on their heels.
But I'll tell you, I'm not coming in until I have to, just because of the caution problem. If you happen to hit pit road early, short pit, as they like to say, and the caution comes out, your night's over with. So I want to be the last one to come to pit road if I can. Plus, if there's another caution later into the evening, I've got better tires and I might be able to stay out.
57 laps to go. One more pit stop will be required. Denny Hamlin trying to become the 3rd driver to pull off the weekend sweep at Richmond. Harry Gant in 1991, Kevin Harvick in 2006, both in the fall.
But I think we're definitely seeing the product of what Steve Burns just reported on that 18 car, because for about 8 to 10 laps, he really closed the gap on that 11 car. But now as we're getting to the end of this long run here, of course, this is when your car's going to push the worst. You've burned all the fuel load off. This is when it's starting to pull away a little bit. The 11's back better than the 18.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, Larry, is I believe the 11 is being really, really cautious dealing with lap cars. And that's how the 18 closes up a little bit every time he gets in traffic.
Jimmy Johnson comes in. He's the first of the lead lap cars to pit on this sequence under green. Excuse me, he is not on the lead lap. He was involved in that wreck and is 6 laps down. Denny Hamlin may be playing it conservative, Darrell, but he is, by the stopwatch, the fastest car on the racetrack right now.
It's almost like he was just testing the waters, and like Darrell said, just being very patient with those lap cars.
Yeah, I like the way he got through that traffic. He didn't force himself by anyone. He took good care of his car, and now he's able to pull back out to a comfortable lead. I really think part of that, too, was the 18 car really put a charge on. You saw smoke coming out of the car. He was driving the car really hard to see if he had anything for Hamlin. Now he knows he doesn't.
On the stopwatch, it's only about a 1/10 of a second difference between the first 2 cars, but that means that Hamlin's lead has now grown to 1.4 seconds.
This is a battle for 6 we're watching right here. No longer a battle. Tony Stewart in the 20 car we're riding with him just went by Martin Truex Jr. in that 1 car for 6th place.
Matt?
A great shot looking back at the right rear, which is up. Martin Truex Jr. thought he had a flat tire on that right rear because the car is so loose. He told his guys, be ready. But their spotter, Joey Meyer from high atop, said it looks good from here. But they are closing in on that last stop.
When they're worn out, they feel flat. And I got a feeling we're this close to getting a pit stop coming here. That's probably what his problem is. He's worn out the right rear.
And Darrell, we have not had a green flag stop. Getting on the pit road here, it's tricky. The entrance to pit road is almost way back in the middle of turn 3 and 4. So it's tricky getting there.
Yeah, the commitment line is right here is the commitment line. So you're way back there when you have to. And Here's pit road entrance way up here, but the commitment line is pretty far back in the middle of the corner.
And you have to get down on that apron, and trust me, that apron is pretty slick right now.
That orange box right there, that's where the commitment cone was at the start of the night. Don't know where it is now. We've had a couple of crashes over there.
And of course, here's the commitment line, and here's the green light that tells you pit road is open. Let's see if we can have any takers here. Here's Hamlin going. He goes by, so he's not coming in this time.
Denny Hamlin has now set the record for leading the most laps in a race on the 3/4 mile at Richmond. Over 350 laps tonight. That's a record.
And the laps that Joe Gibbs Racing has led, they won the race at Talladega. They led 110 laps total in that 188 lap race last week.
Gibbs cars running 1-2. That's where they finished at Atlanta. Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart 1-2.
And the way Stewart is starting to close up here, it wouldn't surprise me to see him be 1-2-3 when this race ends, because Tony is coming forward he's just gotten around to Martin Truex. He's closing in on Clint Boyer.
12th place race, Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle. Newman in the 12. Trying to hold off Biffle. 46 laps to go. Oh boy, Casey Mears and Michael Waltrip get tangled up and couldn't get loose.
And the caution will fly. And again, Casey Mears, he just went a lap down, and Michael Waltrip had been to pit road to get 4 fresh tires not too many laps ago.
What, were they hung together?
Those cars looked like they were coupled together.
What happened. I think something happened to the 5, and then Michael got into him and couldn't get off, couldn't get undone from him.
See if Casey loses a right front here. Well, he does there after the contact.
Yeah, no, he just went over the top of Michael, and I think Michael thought they were still racing.
Well, let's ride along with Michael. Show you what Digger saw over there in turn 2. Pit road's open. Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. said his right rear is sliding and it's nagging him. He said, I'm the 3rd best car out here. That's not enough. I need more grip to catch these guys, and that is the intention. That's what they're going to do. Matt.
Mark Martin really struggled over that last run, just losing the handle of the car. The longer the run went on, the looser the car got. Chassis adjusted for the 8. Steve.
Matt, Denny Hamlin, the race leader, says just help my forward bite. 0.2 of a pound out of the right rear tire. Kyle Busch in the 18 says don't make me too loose off air out of the left front tire.
And the first 3 come out just the way they came in. Hamlin, Busch, Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Clint Boyer. No change among the front 5.
Yeah, not a lot of change at all there.
That 11 car is so close to a night of perfection. He's so close.
NASCAR has parked Michael Waltrip for the duration of the event. We're under caution for the 8th time tonight.
No question about that one. Wave it.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by State Farm, where great coverage meets great rates. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together. By Subway, where Tony Stewart goes to fuel up. Subway, race hard, eat fresh. And by Sprint, welcome to the 2008 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Speed is beautiful.
Green flag is just waved to restart with 40 laps to go. The caution was out as Casey Mears came across the front of Michael Waltrip's car, and it was Waltrip's pushing Mears down the back straightaway that got Michael parked for the night. I believe both cars are going to be out of the race, as Denny Hamlin has Kyle Busch in hot pursuit. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Clint Boyer, Mark Martin, all on new tires and ready to run for these last 40 laps.
This could turn into something, boys. I mean, you got 3 cars right here pretty good. That 11 obviously is a little better, but there's some guys pretty hungry.
Well, when I look at the top three, you're looking at a guy up front that wants to win in what he called his Indianapolis. You got a guy running third, hadn't won in 2 years. You got a guy running second. He doesn't care. He just wants to win every week and every race.
Setting up.
Kyle Busch was a guest at Denny Hamlin's charity race Thursday night, and he was a little rude. He beat Hamlin. He won the race.
Yeah,
that's what he was there to do.
Then he got in a little bit of trouble, had to go to back, but he fought his way back up there to finish fourth. But they had a great night over there, raised a lot of money for the foundation.
Southside Speedway.
We were riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He and Clint Boyer both just ran their fastest lap of this race here on lap 362.
Let's mention Reed Sorensen got the free pass on that caution, so 17 cars are on the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., that 88, he's starting to work that high groove just a little bit, especially down there in turn 1 and 2. Got a great run off turn 2. He's going to go to the inside of Kyle Busch going into 3.
But that's what that does. That's called diamond in a corner, where you let it go up the hill and then run down and get a great run underneath somebody.
There you go. Still
now,
outside there.
If I was Denny Hamlin, oh, we got a wreck up here in 4, guys.
Jamie McMurray in the wall hard.
From the back.
And he was still on the lead lap.
His spotter said he got turned around. That's going to leave a mark. So we go back to the last scoring loop position that the cars crossed prior to caution, and we'll see how they score that second place battle for the restart.
Yeah, it got pretty heated down in turn 1 and 2.
See what happened to Jamie McMurray.
There again, 3 wide, and somebody can't, you know, just not enough room for these guys to do what they've been trying to do, especially getting into turn 3. That's a tight corner.
He carried a lot of speed in there. There may have been some contact, perhaps from Joe Nemechek. Not sure from that angle.
Yeah, we're probably not done with cautions just yet.
Oh, no.
Cautions, free cautions.
You can go all night long. You can go 300 laps and never have one. But then in the last 100 laps, we may have 10 or 15.
A right rear spring. Both truck arms are bent.
Ooh.
Yeah, that thing was hopping up and down like a little league shortstop when I saw it.
He'll take her behind the wall. Now, we only ran 5 laps. There's no question we'll see the guys at the front stay out. May see some guys at the back of the lead lap cars hit pit road and get those 4 fresh Goodyears.
The situation we had last night, very late in the race. Kevin Harvick was leading. Carl Edwards was second. They did not pit. Had they pitted, everybody else probably would have stayed out. They wouldn't have had good track position, wouldn't have made it back to the front, but Denny Hamlin and everybody else hit pit road. Turned out to be a race-winning move. Same situation tonight if we get another caution a little later in?
If we run another 10 or 15 laps, you better believe I think you want to come get those 4 fresh Goodyear tires. But I can't stress enough what I just said a moment ago when I look at the top 3 guys. You've got a guy that's leading this race that told Steve Burns, it means more to me to win at Richmond than maybe win the Daytona 500. You've got Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has not won in 2 years since here back in 2006. And as I said, that cat running second, he doesn't care. He just wants to win everything, every race.
What I'm saying, though, is this car. Every week this car does something, and I say, guys, I don't see how they can do it. They race harder in this car than I believe I've ever seen them race before. We're seeing 3 wide. A lot of place around this racetrack where you shouldn't be. But I think these guys are so confident and so comfortable with this car that they're doing things I've never seen them do before. They're being really reckless in this car, and they're doing some things that I think that they're not getting away with, and it catches up with them eventually.
Well, now I've got my 2 experts up here, and they're available to you 24/7 along with the rest of the folks at Ask the Pros, built by the Home Depot, and that is right there for you at foxsports.com 24/7 to answer your questions. Go to foxsports.com/askthepros.
You know, we talked at the top of the night about Saturday night short track racing. It's where we all got our starts. And normally when you run a short track event on a Saturday night, it's about a 25 or 30 lap feature. You know what? That's what we got here. We're going to have about a 30 lap feature to the end.
This is the 9th caution flag of the night. The big one was caution flag number 6 at lap 231. It involved more than 10 cars. Started with the 96 J.J. Yaley and 22 Dave Blaney. When it was done, half a dozen cars went to the garage out of the race as things got very narrow there in the back straightaway. That's the 10 at Carpentier taking the hardest hit again and again and again. So now 31 laps to go, 30 when they hit the line. 17 lead lap cars. Travis Kvapil got the free pass. Here we go, short track Saturday night.
And I tell you, we got all the main guys right up at the front right now. You got 18, 88, 07. You got Mark in 5th, Truex. You got Tony 7th. You got Jeff Gordon 8th. And here's Casey Kane back in the top 10 in 9th, along with Kevin Harvick.
Tell you what, where Kyle Busch is so strong, but it's just not, it won't accept it right now as he bails that thing off in the corner. He paid the price through 3 and 4 that time. He's got his hands full of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I believe Junior's got the best car right now. I really do. He's really getting off the corner. Watch him drag up off the corner here and make the pass. That 88 car has come alive, and he is looking for the lead.
2 long years since Dale Jr. last won what is now the Sprint Cup Series, and it was right here at Richmond in this race 2 years ago. Kyle's coming right back after him on the bottom. Can he get there? Junior gives him plenty of room.
And this right here is the greatest thing that can happen for Denny Hamlin, is these two guys going at it like that.
But I think the thing about Hamlin's car is it gets better on the long run. I think he's a little bit better over the long haul. I think Junior in the 18, they got a shot at him, but it'd be after a restart.
And the great thing about this is right now all Hamlin has to do is keep running time trial laps until and if they get to him.
And I know the 88 and the 18, they're looking out the windshield, but they better look out their back window through the rearview mirror, because that 07 of Clint Boyer and Mark Martin in the 8, they are coming.
Well, the 88, though, can do something that the 11 has had on a superior over everybody all night. That 88 gets off of turn 2 like the 11 does. He's got some real grunt up out of turn 2 over there.
But he's definitely diamond in the racetrack, Darrell, the 88 car.
That tells you car might be a little bit tight, but you're using it to your advantage. You know, you heard him say he wanted to tighten it up a teeny bit.
Try to go. You're a half a tenth quicker that last lap. Let's go.
25 laps to go, Krista.
Can you imagine what it would be like to ride in the race car with Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Well, I'm going to tell you what it's like. Right before that restart, Dale Jr. said to his crew chief, Tony Eury Jr., his spotter, TJ Majors, guys, I need some excitement. Pump me up. Here we go.
Well, let me ask you something. Does anybody recall 2 years ago, I think it was, when Junior won the last race here, you know who ran second to him?
Man leading the race.
The man leading the race. And he said that night, he said, if I'd only known that I could have gotten up there and gotten after him, I'd have done it.
Well, all I know is that there is well over 100,000 seats here at Richmond. They're all empty right now because they're all standing up.
Junior's car looks like might just be giving up now, Larry. I think they tightened him up too much. That's why he's running up the hill the way he did. It's good for a lap or two, but it goes away.
Kyle had a good look at him underneath in turn 2.
And Kyle Busch is running the bottom, but Junior keeps it wound up just enough that Kyle Busch can't get by him down the straightaway. You'll see it right here. Kyle Busch should go to the bottom, but look at what happens off turn 2. Junior gets the run on the high side.
And I tell you, Denny Hamlin is just loving this. Because while they're messing with each other, he's on cruise.
Yeah, I think he's just running his car just hard enough right now.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, he's not running anywhere near what he could run, I don't think.
Busch again to the bottom, trying to scratch and claw out a second place from Dale Jr.
And with 20 laps to go coming to the line, Denny Hamlin in the 11 has pretty clear racetrack in front of him right now.
Steve, they are catching Hamlin even though they're side by side.
Denny Hamlin has a flat tire, Mike. He just said they're going to get me. I've got a flat tire.
Oh, man, be sure. Be sure. Let's see if we can see anything, Larry.
Come down the front stretch, stay away from the wall if you can, so I can look at it.
Right front looked a little soft. Maybe it should.
It's hard to tell right now, but they are definitely catching him. Look at these two side by side behind him.
Boy, I don't know, Larry. It's hard to say. It's not, it may be going down, but it's not down.
No, that right front's rolling over all the way to the yellow letters.
If it's me, you got to be sure, man. You can't take a chance.
Oh, Junior's there on the outside, and Busch is there on the inside.
When you get this late in a race, you always hear things. You always
look at him right
things.
here, though. Whoa. Wide off turn 2.
That can't work. But it did.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes out with a lead. They'll be
Come on. Stay focused. 17 to go. You're the man.
Was a power move.
Get it. It's there.
That took a lot of confidence, and it took confidence on all three of them to make it.
Hamlin's car pushes up, and he surrenders third to Clint Boyer.
Driving away.
Clint Boyer will take that third position away. Now Denny Hamlin's going to fall into the clutches of Mark Martin.
To go 16.
It's just hard to tell that right front is soft on the 11 car, but something's got to be a myth.
So what was a battle for second between Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch now begins to form up as a battle for the win with 15 laps to go.
And just remember, as Kyle Busch looks out the windshield, even though it's a different number, that's the driver that replaced him at Hendrick Motorsports, replaced Kyle Busch at the end of 2007.
Well,
15 to go.
The 11 was so close to having a perfect night. So close.
But Darrell, I said it earlier, we've seen it so many times. It seems like, especially at the short tracks with that 11 car. You can see right there, that's the interval back to Kyle Busch in the 18 car, up to Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That 11 car is going to have to come to pit road. I'm afraid if that tire is that bad, it's going to blow if he doesn't come pretty quick.
And Junior in the lead has not changed his line. He is still running the high line that got him up to the back bumper of Denny Hamlin.
And can you just think about Bristol a few weeks ago? The 11 car had that race won, and on the restart the thing wouldn't go. Here he is tonight. I mean, dominated this race. Unbelievable.
He has fallen back to the 11th position now, outside the top 10. He's just trying to find the checkered flag of this thing. He's in the way right now.
Yeah, he's going to get run over, or that tire's going to explode, one or the other.
Denny Hamlin led 381 laps. Sorensen bounces off the wall.
I think he said, man, that's the 11.
Well, I tell you what, as we'll be coming to 10 to go, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in this 88 car, he has checked out to almost a second lead over Kyle Busch in that 18.
Let it go, man. Nice and smooth.
Biggest thing Dale Earnhardt Jr. does not need right now is a caution. He does not need a caution.
Every one of Junior's laps is a tenth of a second quicker than Kyle Busch.
By 2/10.
Oh, the 11. There goes the tire. Turn 3 and 4. He just lost it.
And it couldn't happen at a worse place because he's not going to make it around.
He'll draw the caution sitting there.
He didn't need a caution. Junior didn't need a caution.
There's the caution.
What a shame.
A slow leak in the right front tire robs Denny Hamlin of victory, and now will cost him a lead lap finish.
And I'm going to tell you what, this is where those crew chiefs will earn their money down there right now, because we talked about the Nationwide Series race last night. These tires now have about 30 laps on them. And trust me, fresh tires will prevail here. When we get back to racing, it will be a single file restart too.
You've got 16 cars on the lead lap. You know at least half of them are going to come to pit road. But I don't know about the front half.
Right. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to end the drought for Junior Nation. The longest of his career that he has gone without a win.
Now pit road is open, as Darrell mentioned. We've got Jeff Gordon that's come to pit road. We pretty much got the guys from about 7th back coming to pit road just as anticipated.
Bad news gets worse for Hamlin. For stopping on track to draw the caution, NASCAR is going to park him for 2 laps.
And I was a little afraid of that for him, because obviously the minute the caution was displayed, he went ahead and moved in.
I think, knowing now what he knows, he should have come to pit road the minute he knew he had a flat tire or had a problem with the right front. That would have been a smart thing to do, obviously. But that's second guessing.
So the first 6 drivers stay on track. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, and Martin Truex. The question will be, is 6 cars in that line, enough of a cushion for Dale Jr. to hold off the drivers that just got 4 fresh tires.
Well, the last couple of restarts I've seen at 18, and he did it to the 11 one time, and 88 doesn't get going all that quickly. Takes him a few laps. I'd look for that 18 to put a real charge on this restart. Maybe try to get around the outside of him down here in 1 and 2 on the restart.
I think that's his only chance.
Well, that's his best shot.
That's it.
And then if he could get tied up with the 18 and the 11, I mean the 88 and the 07 would have a shot, because he's not that bad.
Excuse me. When they come back, it'll be 1 to go. We'll have 5 laps to finish it.
Oh man, how come every week we get into one of these things?
But what really has to happen here, and we preach it all the time when we get to this point, with those old tires on those top 5, 6, 7 cars, you got to be careful not to spin the tires on the restart.
2 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. last visited Victory Lane. He was then driving the Budweiser number 8 for DEI. That's Kevin Harvick right alongside. And in the end, it was Junior holding off Denny Hamlin to score the victory. And then who knew that the Victory Lane drought would last 2 years? Will it end tonight? We are 5 laps from finding out.
God, those old bodies were ugly, weren't they?
We used to race those.
We used to race those silly things.
Green flag this time by. Will it be Junior? Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, Martin Truex? Or will it be the first to the car with fresh tires? That's Kevin Harvick. Or Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Carl Edwards. 5 to go. Green flag.
Oh, the 18 spun.
He spun the tires.
Big time.
And that lets the 07 Clint Boyer pull right up there. And there goes Mark Martin in that Army car.
Going to get interesting. Junior went up the hill pretty high, but I think that's his line.
And Harvick's coming. He's the first car on fresh tires. He's inside of Truex into turn 3.
You know, after losing the race last night because he didn't get tires, it'd be kind of fun if Harvick could get back up there.
I think he'll gain some positions. I'm just not sure he's going to have enough laps to get up there to these top 2 or 3. 4 to go.
They just got blocked real big time going into turn 1.
Boy, Kyle Busch got a great run off turn 2 down the back straightaway. You know he'll pack it down into turn 3.
Oh, he's boogieing down in there, baby.
But will it stick?
And Junior gives him the bottom. Car washes up.
Junebug's got that high line. He wants to run it, but I tell you, that 18's going to get under him right here.
3 to go.
Here he goes.
Junior goes up the hill. Let's see if he can get a bite on the bottom of the racetrack. They'll be side by side down the back straightaway.
Ooh, man, that was tight off turn 2. He's got him. Oh, I believe he's got him this time. Oh, he turned him.
No.
Oh, he turned him. No. No.
Now here comes Clint Boyer to take the yellow flag.
Oh, no.
And wild thing, Kyle Busch makes contact with Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it looks like the drought will continue.
Boys, I just tell you something. That ain't going to go over too good right there.
No, it's not.
I love the little old boy to death, but that was not a good move right there. I was afraid of that when they got side by side late in the race on the old tires.
Racing for the lead, Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming down the backstretch to turn 3.
I think you'll just see him. He just gets in there a little too hard, and of course Junior's not cutting him any slack. He's keeping him pinned down, but can't run over the man. That was just unfortunate. I feel sorry for Dale Jr.
This was going down the back straightaway. They're neck and neck halfway down the back stretch.
And you see Junior kind of roll out, but the 18 just gets up the hill a little too much and gets into him, and it turns him around. I hate that.
Well,
golly gee.
Junior was turning down. Kyle Busch pushed up.
Yep.
And there just wasn't enough racetrack between them.
I think.
Ooh.
He's just there, and there's nothing, you know, it's just not, it doesn't work.
You know what, Darrell, what I did not like what I saw the wheels on the 18 car turn to the right just ever so slightly.
Well, I think I think it's because he got loose.
Loose.
He was loose getting in under Dale Jr. over there. I think that's what you saw.
Well, the fellow who had the best view was Clint Boyer, and he'll share it with us.
It'll be a real good view for him coming off turn 4.
And you know, Kyle Busch is going to say, that Junior cut down on him, didn't give him enough room. There's Junior pedaling it right there. That's how Kyle got alongside of him.
Dale Jr. has come to pit road.
Oh, boy.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. will get these 4 fresh tires. He's still on the lead lap. We have 16 cars on the lead lap, and we're pretty much will have a 2-lap shootout when we get the green flag.
There will be no free pass. We're inside of 10 laps to go.
So now you're Kyle Busch, and now you got somebody else in front of you. And I think he's probably a little bit better than Boyer.
And just remember, Clint Boyer started this race back in the 31st position. We've had 103 races here. Only 8 times has the winner started outside the top 20. Talking about Clint Boyer.
Of course, Mark Martin sitting back here. And look, Tony Stewart has gotten himself into the picture. Tony's up to 4th.
And Kevin Harvick is still the first car with the fresh tires in 6th place. Now, we've run a few laps. Is that still a factor?
Well, I think it is, but I don't think there's enough laps now. And besides, he didn't make very much progress with those new tires.
And Dale Jr. will restart 16th after being just 4 laps, perhaps, from victory lane.
I'm not sure how much security they have here at Richmond, but they better be calling more.
I don't know about you, Larry, but I'm staying up here for a while.
This is a sport of passion. Passion for your driver and for the driver you most want to see your driver beat.
But it was the topic at the top of our show. It's Saturday night short track racing under the lights, and this is what we have.
When you get down to 10 to go, you get inside that window, man. You take both gloves off.
Last night was not without controversy. Kyle Busch was at the center of it. Stephen Wallace bumped him out of the way. He bumped Stephen, and Stephen rammed him in turn 1. And when Kyle went to talk to Stephen about it, Stephen grabs his helmet, and Kyle says, "Come on, you want some of me?" But the unprofessional action was that of Wallace last evening, post-race, when he rammed Busch down in turn number 1. Up till that point, it was just racing.
Yeah. Right now, I'm trying to figure out an escape plan myself.
You know those black helicopters you're always seeing? You want one?
I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the guy driving the 18 car. How's he going to get out of here?
But one thing about it, Mike, you're right, is the more caution laps they run, the cooler the tires are getting on those cars that have the older hot tires on them.
You know, Darrell, we've had a lot of drivers in this sport who've wanted to win badly and who've made ill-timed moves late in the race. And one of the biggest of them was Dale Earnhardt when he turned Terry Labonte around at Bristol. The fans didn't like it, but Earnhardt went on to become one of the biggest names in the sport. He was already. Didn't hurt much of his fan base, and you know, Kyle Busch has his detractors and his fans.
No,
and we'll see what happens here.
It wasn't a cheap shot.
No.
I mean, they did race off into the corner side by side, and so I can't say the man gave him a cheap shot. He was just trying too hard.
There was no give and take, and you're not going to have any give and take on a short track with less than 10 laps.
I'm pretty sure when he got underneath Dale Jr. off turn 2, Dale Jr. said, "Uh-oh, I might be in trouble here." Didn't know about that much trouble, but I think he probably knew he was in trouble, because he probably knew that if he didn't hit him, he was going to run him up the hill to the point to where Kyle would have gotten back by him.
So Dale Jr. will get a finish outside the top 10. Clint Boyer is the biggest beneficiary of this caution. He comes out of it with the lead. If you're Kyle Busch and you got to shake off this incident, what have you got to do to get up on the wheel with 2 laps to go and still try and win this race?
I'm still going to try to win this race.
All right.
I mean, you got to, and I think he's that kind of driver. I don't think he lets things like that affect him.
No, sir.
I think that's a racing incident in his mind, and I'm going after the win if it's got to do the same thing to this cat, if it should turn out that way. I got to tell you, his intention was not to wreck Dale Jr. His intention was to pass Dale Jr., and they got together.
And if you're going to pass Dale Jr. the way Jr.'s running, you've got to get into the corner before Jr. does, and that's what he was trying to do. You see the wheel mark on the side. Here's one more look.
I mean, here he is. He's underneath of him, and Jr. knows right here, uh-oh, I think I got my hands full now, because it's a drag race into the 3rd turn. They're side by side. Kyle gets a little bit loose getting in there. See how he gets loose and he starts washing up, and Junior's right on him. There's no room, and he gets into him.
That replay there, I think, showed how loose Kyle Busch got.
He just got in there and got on the brakes really hard. It kind of reminds me of what happened to him at Martinsville when he wheel hopped into turn 300, Johnny Benson.
The minute he turned that wheel, that car got loose.
He's about to spin out right there. And Junior just happened to be the one that caught him.
And Larry, where you saw Kyle Busch's wheels turn to the right was where he was trying to straighten up his race car.
That last replay showed it.
Yeah.
That's the only hope he had from spinning that car out, is get that thing turned back.
Right.
And we know he has a ton of car control.
Yeah, it was not to try to turn that car up into Dale Jr.
Not at all.
He was trying to save it. Jeff, you've had a chance to look at all these replays. What do you think?
Well, it's like this, Mike. It's real simple, and we've seen it. I was outside. I saw all the Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans standing up cheering him on, and it's going to be hard for them to understand that. They haven't had the privilege of hearing all this explanation that you guys have done. So I like DW is saying, I wouldn't want to be Kyle Busch right now trying to get out of Richmond, because it's going to be ugly. They're not going to forgive him for a long time to come. I believe it was a good, honest racing incident, but man, when you wreck a guy who hadn't won a race in 70-some races, it'd be a long time for somebody to explain that one.
You didn't just wreck a guy. It was Dale Earnhardt, and you saw fans shaking their fist.
They're shaking their fist, but this is the kind of racing that you see here, and what we really expected tonight. We just didn't expect it with these two guys.
All right, so what is Kyle's mindset here as we get ready for the restart?
You're in trouble right now, Clint Boyer. That's all I can say. He is cocked, locked, and ready to rock. He's going to be coming after him pretty hard, and I would not be surprised if these two guys do not get together again. Hello, Mark Martin. He may wind up winning this race.
A guy with plenty of experience.
But how much trouble is Clint Boyer in? We've said all weekend that the Childress cars would be strong here. We're going into the 2 laps of overdrive, green, white checker. Boyer's been good. All the Childress cars have been pretty good.
It's all on this restart right here. How he gets a restart, how he gets off the line. You got to get off the line. And he's right there with him as Tommy 18 is. Mark Martin right there, anticipated that start, laid back a little bit. He's got a good look at this thing.
Yeah, the guy that did not get a good restart was Tony Stewart back there. Boyer gets a good run off turn 2. Now Mark Martin's all over the rear bumper of that 18 car. Mark Martin's going to pack it down into turn 3 and 4. They'll be side by side. White flag this time.
That's what Clint Boyer needed to see. Woo. Kyle Busch occupied with Mark Martin for second.
Yeah, Boyer's got it made now. I mean, this race with the Mark in the 18 car, he'll just drive off and leave them.
They're racing like crazy.
Well, they're side by side. One more time.
Like crazy behind you. Now,
this is it for the win. Clint Boyer's going to take it to the bank. Take it to BB&T and cash the check. He wins in Richmond.
Kyle Busch just edged Mark Martin back to finish second. Looks like Tony Stewart 4th and Martin Truex Jr. 5th.
The last guy that had a lot of trouble getting out of Richmond, I think his name was Grant, wasn't it? That may be as bad as this one here.
Yeah, we knew it all day, didn't we?
In his 83rd start, Clint Boyer scores his second Sprint Cup Series win. And it's the second win for Richard Childress Racing in 2008. Jeff Burton victorious at Bristol. Clint Boyer's dad up on a roof spotting. What a night. Denny Hamlin leads over 380 laps, can't win it. Dale Jr. gets the lead in the closing laps, can't win it. Clint Boyer comes through. Congratulations, Team Chevy driver Clint Boyer, on winning at Richmond from Chevy. American Revolution.
Great race for second place here. But Mark Martin did a great job all night long. Had a fast car. Gives Kyle a lot of room here. Kyle's good off the top here, off of turn 4.
Because the last time off turn 4, Kyle got real loose.
Real loose, but I think he really timed it right that time.
Controversy. Oh, a bent bumper or two. Surprise winner at Short Track Saturday night. Promotional consideration paid for by these companies. Denny Hamlin dominates. Dale Jr. leads in the late laps, and we have a surprise winner.
Yeah, you know, racing is full of emotion. We saw it from Denny Hamlin having his problem and Dale Jr. having his problem.
And I think, Clint Boyer, that's a sign, Steve Burns, never give up.
Yes, indeed, Larry Mack, and it is one jubilant race team down here. Richard Childers has already congratulated Clint. He dives out of the race car. Clint, what a wild night. What does it feel like to be here in Victory Lane at Richmond?
Man, it's just awesome. I love this place. You know, I messed things up in qualifying for these guys, and, you know, we just dug deep and worked hard, and things worked out. You know, it was just took advantage of a, you know, misfortune right there up front, but just really happy for BB&T, and this Impala, you know, Chevrolet was fast all day. Jack Daniels, Trek TV, everybody involved in this thing. Just want to thank everybody. It's just, this is awesome. It's what it's all about.
Second career win for Clint Boyer. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
With Kyle Busch, what happened?
It was just a bummer deal. You know, we were both racing hard there, and, you know, Denny Hamlin, first off, had the class of the field today. You know, his car was awesome. That FedEx Joe Gibbs Toyota was great, but, you know, Junior and I just racing hard there, and getting into turn 3, you know, from the front end replay, it looked like he come down a little bit, but, you know, it's just a part of racing. I mean, I probably could have moved down a little bit lower getting into the corner. He probably could have moved up higher. I mean, it's just a product of good, hard race, and I apologize to those guys. You know, it's tough that they had a great race car tonight, and they probably could have finished, if not winning the race, probably second. But, you know, for us and to go on the way that we have so far since all this has gone on has nothing to do with any of that stuff. So, you know, to me, Rick Pigeon coming on down here was a friend of mine and has always been a great friend of Dale Jr. That was a little uncalled for, and it's not all about him all the time. So he'll know what I mean by that.
It was a strong run tonight. Chris?
Thanks very much, Dick Berggren, with Jeff Hammond. Where is the line? And you heard him address it. He could have done this. Junior could have done that. Whether, of course, it wasn't intentional, but a code of conduct, the boundaries in that situation.
Well, I think that right now we talked about that, and we looked at it, the fact that Dale Jr. could have moved up a little bit. The Kyle Busch could have maybe backed off, cut it a little bit deeper. But, guys, you're going for the end of the race. You're trying to win a race. And whenever he said, like, the 11 car was a class of the field, when he had his problem, the door swung wide open for whoever could go through it. It looked like it was going to be Dale Jr. That's what good, hard racing, that's what short track racing really breeds. We've seen it time and time again.
And we appreciate Kyle talking to us. And, you know, you wonder if Junior were in that situation, the opposite where Kyle Busch, would he have done that? Actually, let's check in with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Krista is standing by.
Well, in the matter of one turn of one lap, Dale Jr.'s feelings had to go from what was probably elation to deflation. Dale Jr., was that a fair racing move, or does Kyle Busch need some extra security leaving Richmond tonight?
Whether it's fair or not, he's going to need some security from all of us. But, you know, I haven't seen the replay. Tony Jr. said he looked like Kyle got loose underneath me, and that happens. I was trying to, I wasn't good on the bottom, so I moved up to the top to run as good as I could up there, and he'd been running the bottom, so I figured we'd race it out. And he got a great run around 1 and 2 and nearly got by me, but he gave me room on the outside off of 2, so I wouldn't say that was intentional going into 3, because if he wanted to, he could have just run me in the fence off 2. But we'd been racing each other earlier and had no problem, so I think I've done that before if that's what happened, if he got loose underneath me. But you know, the worst part about it is just I've been priding myself on running good all year, and I was in position for a win, and I ran hard and got wrecked. And I had a top 3 car, should finish in the top 3. So I was going for the win. Just ended up on the hook today, so just disappointed.
One thing's for sure, he's going to go to Darlington next week, hungrier than ever.
Wow, even if you're not a Junior fan, you can feel the pain and the streak of now 72 races and 2 years and counting. These are the unofficial results. Clint Boyer leading just 13 laps, but the most important as we go through the rest of the list here. Jeff Burton, who came in as the points leader, loses the points leader.
But the key thing right now is back in 24, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, Chris, had the field covered.
What caused the tire problem?
I don't know. I'd really like to know what happened to him. I really would. But it eventually, you know, cost him. And, you know, maybe we can find out, maybe somebody caught up with him and we could get an explanation.
381 laps led by the hometown Denny Hamlin, Virginian, and Matt Yoakum did catch up with him moments ago.
Denny Hamlin led 381 laps tonight, and Mike Ford walked up. And the only thing you could say, unbelievable, just how tough to put into words what this disappointment means tonight here at your home track.
It's tough to say. I mean, you can't whine about it. It just wasn't meant to be. God didn't want me to win today, and there's a better time for us to win, evidently, and today's just not our day.
All right, thank you, Denny.
Thanks.
So he had a nice little run of moving up on the points list. Currently, Denny Hamlin is 6th. Kyle Busch takes over the lead from Jeff Burton. And you see Dale Earnhardt Jr., who ran so well and thought he had victory in his hands, currently 3rd.
Again, you see that Clint Boyer had an opportunity to move up in points by this win today, but Dale Jr. continues to have a solid year going for Hendrick Motorsports in his new ride in that 88 car.
We are 16 races away from the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. Casey Kane moves into the top 12. Jeff Gordon with Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Headliners still without a win. Next Saturday, NASCAR on Fox to Darlington, South Carolina. Gordon held off Denny Hamlin and Jimmy Johnson to win it last year. What'll happen this time? We hope you tune in and find out. So Clint Boyer, 28 years old, from Emporia, Kansas, after we saw the hometown hero Denny Hamlin falter and the Greek tragedy finish of Dale Earnhardt Jr., it was Clint in victory lane.